Be football weather tonight, boys. Clear and 38 at kickoff.
38, never heard of her.
Special.
It's just warm and warmer here.
She's 38 special.
It's already 70 degrees here.
Yeah, this is the week, by the way, in which the wife finds out the difference between Fort Myers and Jacksonville. Because I don't know if you look, you guys will be in the low 80s all week, and Jacksonville will be in the low to mid 60s all week.
Oh, you actually get, I mean, not winter, but you get 40s, regularly 30s, 40s, 50-degree weather there.
Oh, I'm aware of that.
Is she?
She will be by Wednesday.
Morning, Adam.
No, I got to switch over.
Paul, good morning.
Morning, gentlemen. Hope you had a good weekend. Felipe, did you work last night?
He's doesn't have headsets on.
Okay.
David asked you a question, but you don't have headsets on.
Oh, say it one more time. Sorry.
Did you work last night?
Oh, yeah, I did. I worked all day yesterday. I had a volleyball game and a basketball game. I was there from 12 to 8.
Making the big bucks, too. It's FGCU.
Oh, totally, right?
Morning, Wancho.
I hope so.
Paul, which one? Could be just a series of plays of the day.
FGCU looks good. I mean, granted,
it
was against Avia.
Thank you.
Yeah. But, like, they're making their shots, making their threes.
Stop.
Take it easy. Come on now. Take it easy.
15 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. And how the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? Thanks for being with us. Southwest Florida, Lake City, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. We are the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. How are you, Mark? Top of the morning to you.
Doing great. What a weekend. What a Sunday. Holy Toledo. Did we get some football yesterday?
Well, like we said, there only looked to be one exciting game on the schedule. And it was really good. And it was maybe the fourth best game of the day. Love weekends like that. Just a bunch of matchups, 3 and 6 against 3 and 5. Just one bad game after another. Man, hope we can get just one good game a time slot. That'd be fantastic. And I don't know if the NFL can pull it off. Hell, they even gave us a 9:30 a.m. game. Although the best part of the game might have been the karaoke. That was fantastic. I didn't realize John Denver was so big in Germany. I knew Hasselhoff was.
Never, ever underestimate the power of karaoke, David.
I mean, in Morgantown, they were watching the Germans sing Country Roads going, man, they're good at this. That's our thing. Oh, man. Great day. Fantastic. And Saturday wasn't bad either.
No, it was not.
Unless you're the Pac-12. But a really good football weekend. Outstanding. Have you seen a better catch than the Justin Jefferson catch?
No. No, and it should have never been a catch because it should have been knocked down.
Well, the guy tried. He got both hands on it.
He tried to catch it.
Well,
It's just one of those plays. He even said after the game, he said, I should have knocked it down. I should have just knocked it down. I wasn't. But it was unbelievable.
Unbelievable. And he had 3 great catches on the drive, which produced no points. Kinda. Man, I'll say this. The Bills know how to lose games, but boy, are they exciting in doing it.
They're script writers.
Whew.
They don't just lose them. They give us some drama.
It's just epic. You thought last January was something. Let me give you this one at home in November. Oh, boy. But Dolphins and Bucks both win. They're both in first place. Mark, I don't know. Honestly, you and I have been doing this 16 years. We have known one another for a quarter century. We lived in the same area code together for 23 years. I don't know if the two of us professionally have ever been able to say, certainly in mid-November, the Bucks and Dolphins are in first place.
I don't think we've ever been able to say it.
Wow. And the Dolphins are fun. Fun. Like networks competing with each other to get a Dolphins game. That's definitely never happened.
30 points in 3 straight or something like that. I mean, they're just going up and down the field. The quarterback still sucks, though.
Listen.
Let me just tell you, Tua sucks.
Listen, could the people, and there's many of you, who crushed us for 2 years because we both had the audacity to go, I don't know, I think he can play. I just don't think he has a lot around him.
Doesn't really have much of an offensive line. There aren't any weapons there. So let's see if they get him something. Let's see if this guy can play because he was a pretty good college quarterback and seemed to be able to throw all the throws you needed to make on Saturday. I mean, that was all we said for 2 years and got crushed. 2 dumbest talk show hosts in Florida for backing Tua.
And that's saying something. That's a mouthful. I mean, first year, remember, his best receiver was Devontae Parker. How hysterical does that look now? Hysterical. Not ironic, not funny. Hysterical. And last year it was Waddle. And he had so little time to throw that Waddle was averaging like 10 yards a catch. Because he just had to get rid of it. And now, man, this is like Coriel's Chargers, greatest show on turf Rams. This is spread it out, chuck it around, and everybody come up with their own celebratory dance because you're going to be in the end zone soon. This is fun.
And the Bucks, very methodical about their way of doing business.
Wait a minute.
A defense.
And a running game.
Yeah.
What the?
How 2022 of you to
mean,
join the rest of the league.
I feel like they need to get on a plane and travel 4,000 miles to all their games, because apparently when they land, they show up with a running game. What the?
Did you see the size of the beers at those games?
Oh, man.
The first thing my wife said at 9:30, she goes, I bet you they have good beer at that game. Man, that looks like good beer.
That apparently was like LSU at night tailgate before the game. I mean, this was apparently 3 million people tried to get tickets to that game. That's officially. Like, when email and, get on the list and the whole thing. 3 million people tried to get tickets to that game. I mean, remember when they were trying to get tickets to that game at Bucs Seahawks, they didn't know that they were trying to get tickets to the first place Seattle Seahawks either. They thought we're trying to be on the clock Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, it was still Brady all the way through, though.
It was. He's kind of a big deal.
International, Tom.
Tell you what, Tom's 2-0 since the divorce. That's all I'm saying. That's all. Just stating facts. Just,
Don't mess with the winning streak, Tom.
Totally.
Whatever you were doing, you got to keep doing it now.
Right.
That's not doing anything. That means you got to keep doing nothing, Tom. I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
Don't mess with the winning streak.
No. Besides, you're in the NFC South. It may only take 2 more wins to clinch this division. Do you know if the playoffs started this weekend, the entire AFC East would be in it?
Right. The Patriots, by way of the tiebreaker, are the 7 seed, correct?
It's a 3-way tie at 5-4 between the Patriots, the Chargers, and the Bengals. And if you go by conference record, Patriots and Chargers are both 4-2. The Bengals are like 2-3. And then somehow, I have no idea what tiebreaker it is between the Patriots and Chargers, but New England wins it. I don't know if it's common opponents or margin. I have no idea. I tried looking it up. All I know is every time I looked it up, it just kept saying the Patriots are in. Remember, if there was ever going to be a division in which all 4 teams make the playoffs, it was last year's NFC West, okay, or 2 years ago NFC West, one or the other, or this year's AFC West. But it's certainly not going to be this year's AFC East, for goodness sakes.
Yeah. AFC West. The Raiders lost to Jeff Saturday.
And their quarterback damn near cried. I mean, we don't have a movie scene like Tom Hanks where he says there's no crying in baseball. I mean, we don't have a movie scene about there's no crying in football, but Derek Carr is taking this 2-7 thing really hard. And he also said that, by the way, that there are people in the locker room that are not taking it hard. He did say that. So that'll be interesting to see how well that goes over.
But you know me, I'm rooting for the Colts now. I want to see this guy win football games. I want him to turn this whole thing upside down. Oh, you got to go through the rank and file. You got to pay your dues. What if you know how to lead men? What if you just simply know how to lead men?
Well, it is interesting. I mean, when I found out that Matt Ryan was playing, I was like, wait a minute. Hold on a second. I thought the owner had benched him. Are you trying to say Frank Reich benched him? For Sam Ellinger? Well, if that's the case, then he did deserve to get fired. Or did Saturday take the job under one condition? I'm playing Matt Ryan.
And I think it's B.
Who looked pretty good yesterday. They limited. He didn't throw it 30 times. They tried to use a running game. Kept it close and won it at the end. Huh.
And then he gave him Monday off.
Right. That's because he's got a bunch of his stuff in boxes and he needs the day, to just put his clothes in the dresser and just settle into his apartment.
He's got to meet the movers. They're dropping stuff off at 10 this morning.
He's getting cable hooked up at 9.
You may be on to something there. But what a Sunday, a good Saturday, but what a Sunday. And as David said, it was a bad Saturday if you live out west.
Woo-wee. Three-headed monsters down to one needle in the haystack. Just like that. Tell you what, be something we get that 12-man playoff, though, but we're not there yet.
No, we are not. And it'll take away from the rest of the season, but we've still got plenty of football there. We'll talk about the playoff as well as dive more into what happened on Sunday right here on Miller and Moulton. We thank you so much for listening on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. You know what, Spitz? I think you might be right. Florida's playing a little bit better. I mean, they're both competitive. I think it'll be a nice game. Probably be in the what? That can be a 7:00-er.
Yeah. Friday after Thanksgiving. Mark Davis thinking about Rich Gannon. That's funny.
Well, first off, I don't think playing the race card. I don't think. I think it's fact.
Did you see the clip of Giants defensive coordinator Wink Martindale talking about how angry Damian Pierce runs?
I did not.
He compared him to Jamal Lewis and Earl Campbell.
What are they getting for that Coke bottle there in the service bar?
I don't know. I honestly, I don't want to know.
It looks so good.
And it's, an
8-ounce Coca-Cola bottle, right?
Exactly. And it's glass. Oh, no, it's glass.
No.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to know. I'm guessing $5.
I was thinking $6. Where are you at? Are you at a Four Seasons?
Yes.
By the way, I don't know if you caught this. If you've not been, someone did put in our chat room. If you're at the Four Seasons in Philly, is there a rooftop bar up there?
Oh yeah, it's where I'm having breakfast.
Okay, because someone in our Twitch chat room said if that's where you are, it's spectacular.
Yep, it is.
Oh, that's awesome.
60 stories up.
Oh,
the best part about this hotel is the elevator ride. You have to go to the 60th floor to register. And the hotel rooms are between floors like 50 and 59. This is the Comcast building in Philly. And the elevator, it's glass. So you go up 60 floors and you see Philadelphia your whole way up.
That's cool.
That's
gorgeous.
Matt LaFleur got a little choked up in the post-game presser too.
Who did?
Matt LaFleur.
Well, I mean, it was only their season.
30 seconds.
No big deal. I mean, the weather in Green Bay is a lot worse when you're 3-7.
It's true.
15 seconds. Here we go.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I come at you from chilly Philadelphia, the site of Monday Night Football. The Eagles are still undefeated, about halfway in the regular season to the Dolphins' epic mark. They'll be favored in every one of their games between now and at least Christmas Eve when they go to Dallas. Although I think the Eagles won the East yesterday without playing. But Philly and Washington tonight in the city of brotherly love, where it will be clear and mid to upper 30s. Thank you very much.
Did you get up, have like 5 raw eggs, and go for a run this morning?
No, but I could see where Rocky went for his run from here. I'm 54 stories up in this hotel with a beautiful view of the city behind me.
Any thoughts of doing the run today?
The raw eggs thing, I remember seeing it for the first time, and you know how you're not supposed to talk in a movie theater? But that was one of those scenes when like half the movie theater went, "Oh man, no! Oh,
For raw eggs, really?
oh, I'm not a huge egg guy, and I can really only do them like scrambled for whatever reason.
So the
I don't.
yolk freaks you out.
Oh, I never enjoyed it ever. So when he did that, yeah.
So if you and I mean, are you one of those, like, if you and I got breakfast together and I got a couple of poached eggs and started dipping toast and yolk was running, would you be like not wanting to look at my plate in order to eat?
Yeah, I'd just put my head down. My grandfather and I, when we had breakfast, he always had the runny eggs and he was dipping the other stuff in it, and I just put my head down.
I did all these years I've known you. I did not know that an egg yolk. I did not know that I was going to set you off there with asking you if you did 5 raw eggs in a Rocky run this morning. I had no idea.
It could be our poll question. How do you like your eggs? Simple as that. Simple as that. The runny eggs, man. Seeing that big yellow thing staring at me, you might as well just put it.
What are you, a vampire?
You might as well put an eye on that thing. I just felt like, every time that thing was moving, it was just looking at me. I thought it was like a compass. Okay, just messing with me. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who knew?
I mean, it's not snakes.
No, but snakes and eggs. I mean, that's
See, exactly. Snakes and eggs, and I'm done. I'm like standing on top of a bed, making sure I'm not on the ground, and I'm blindfolded at the same time. I just can't look. So I'm in Philadelphia, Monday Night Football tonight. Don't know if anyone will be interested. All right. Hey, listen, I think after this weekend's games, where we got a bunch of tremendous games where we didn't necessarily think we were gonna, maybe 7 or 8 people tune in at the beginning tonight going, after the Sunday we just had, what the heck? Maybe we get one again on Monday. And if Washington loses, I don't want to say that the NFC playoff picture is all set, but San Francisco's the 7 seed at 5-4, and if Washington loses, there's no team that would be closer than 4-6 to the 7 seed. I mean, that's a 2-game lead in the loss column.
Yeah, but one of those 4-6 teams is Green Bay, and they just had this big comeback against Dallas. Aaron Rodgers was throwing the ball around, jumping around, pumping his arms. Looked like he actually was having fun out there for the first time all year. Winning will do that.
You know what else will do that? What did he have, Mark? What did he have? What did he
A
have?
running game.
There you go. There you go.
This football season's coming around to a lot of people because it's about the little things. Can you run the football?
It's amazing how good your team can be when you can run it for 4 damn yards.
And I mean, even the Dolphins. What did the Dolphins do yesterday? Ran the damn ball. Best running day they've had all year.
Which is good. You know why? Because the Browns decided not to use Nick Chubb. So somebody had to run the ball.
What do you have, 11 carries?
What the heck? I don't care that you felt. First off, you scored on the first drive of the game. So you weren't behind super early. I mean, it took a little while to get behind. And besides, so what? You're down 2 scores. How do you think you're going to best win this game? Jacoby Brissett or Nick Chubb? I don't get it. It's a very easy game on the couch. That I have also concluded. It's a real damn easy game on the couch.
Then you had some big runs yesterday. Cook had like an 81-yard run. Taylor had a 60-yard run. I mean, there were some big runs as well.
First off, didn't we have 2 quarterback runs of 50 or more yards? Didn't Matt Ryan, by the way,
ran for like 40 on a carry.
And then Justin Fields, which I got to admit, I mean, if you're a defensive coordinator, you have to scream at your guys, I don't want to sack, but you can't let them leave the damn pocket because we can't catch them. Okay? It's real simple. It's called a mush. Rush.
And I know you got rid of your whole defense, but Chicago, you got to feel like you've got a quarterback right now.
Listen, I don't want to say your defense is bad, but you've scored 30 points a game on average in 4 consecutive games, and you're 1-3. I mean, this Bears fans, they're all calling one another going, I've never seen anything like this before. We're scoring 30 points a game, and we're terrible. What the hell?
And the Bears fans I've been around recently haven't seemed to be as bothered by this. It's like,
right.
Well, if we're going to lose 31-30, sure, a hell of a lot better than 27-10.
Besides, they're like, and we have our own first-round pick this year. Let's just keep losing. Let him run around, score 30 points. We'll keep losing like 33-30, and let's get as good a draft pick as possible. But Dolphins and Bucks win. They're both in first place in mid-November. Bucks would be what, the 4 seed? The Dolphins are the 2 seed in the AFC. The 2 seed. They would host 2 playoff games in theory. Playoffs started today, Mark. The Dolphins would host the Patriots in a first-round playoff game. Come on. There's a little something right there for the effort. Huh?
Hey, just the idea. It went from making the playoffs to now the opportunity to host playoff games because Buffalo, well, they have a close game problem.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They can't win them.
And that's a problem.
And they thought they had gotten over that. Remember, they went to Baltimore, came from behind, won it on a field goal late. They thought they were done with that. Yeah. By the way, to make just you want to dream, Dolph fan? You wanted to, so you would host, if the playoffs started today, you would host New England. And then if the top seeds won, you would host Tannehill and the Titans in the divisional round. Come on. Come on. Dolphins deserve this, though. They do. I mean, they've shown up for about 40% of these games over the last 20 years. I mean, they've earned this, though. They haven't disavowed their team. All right. They've just saved their money waiting for a good one. That's all. That's all. So they're smart.
And what, the $500 would be hosting the Giants right now in a 4-5 game?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, Tampa would win. They get to the divisional round. Then they'd go to Philly. Take on the 17-0 Eagles. Tom Brady, who was 18-0 once and lost, it's his chance for payback.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. FLGolfCarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, FLGolfCarts.com. FLGolfCarts.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I feel pretty good. At the beginning of the season, we went through the Dolphins' schedule, and we said they need to be 8-3. Heading into their final 6-game stretch, they need to be 8-3. No worse than 7-4, but really find a way to get to 8-3. Because remember, we said 2-2 in the first month, and then we went through their stretch, and we said this is the soft spot in the schedule, in which if they're what we think they are, they really could be 8-3. But no worse than 7-4, and then 3-game road trip. Got to win one of them. And I don't think anything's changed.
No, I think the Charger game's still a big one.
Yes.
And now the Packers look like they're, it's one game, but
I'm so hoping our final game of the year, because they're going to have to move 2 games to Saturday for the final weekend of the year, because ABC, ESPN gets a doubleheader on Saturday, and then the rest of the games are on Sunday. And I'm hoping they move Jets Dolphins to Saturday night, because we haven't had either team this year, and we won't. Yeah, Klecko, it's better than the OBJ catch because, there was nobody hounding OBJ. Plus, it was 4th and 18. There were a lot of key missed extra points yesterday. I mean, Gold last night missed an extra point. You wondered if it was going to come back and bite the Niners. The Vikings guy missed the extra point.
That time of year when the wind starts blowing when you're playing outdoors.
The Bears kicker missed the extra point.
The Dolphins need to cut Jason Sanders immediately.
Take it easy. Take it easy.
He's been terrible this year.
He's a good kicker. He's going through a rough stretch. You don't cut a kicker. You don't cut a good kicker. You don't cut a proven good kicker until he costs you a game. He hasn't cost him a game yet.
That's fair.
This is the best of both worlds here. You're winning, and in theory, he can work his way through this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the extra point cost you a push last night.
Also, not that it matters to anyone, but did anyone see what Joel Embiid did last night?
No.
Yeah, unholy blank.
You had 59, 11, and 8, and 7 blocks.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Tyrone Maxey had a funny quote after the game. He said, "We're in a timeout." And the coach is talking about we're going to do a pick and roll and this and we finally just looked at him and said, "Hey Doc, why don't we just get the ball to Joel?" I guess he had like 25 in the fourth.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I come at you from clear, and it's not cold where I am, but it's cold for the Florida Sports Network, Philadelphia, where it's about 34 degrees right now.
That's freezing. It's 2 degrees away from trauma.
And here's the funny thing, Mark. It's not as cold here as it was in Memphis and Oxford over the weekend. That was getting off the plane late on Friday and waking up Saturday and Sunday mornings in Memphis going, I'll be damned, it's in the 20s.
David, I don't know how the people in Lake City do it, so I have no idea what they're doing around Memphis and Philadelphia. Don't even know how people live there.
So it was a good Saturday. It was a great Sunday. We'll get to much of it with
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
to some of you, he still sucks. But to the Dolphins, he's becoming the man. Tua, worst statistical day in a while. 285 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Bum. Dolphins 39-17 over the Browns. One bit of bad news. Agba, torn triceps, out for the year. That'll hurt. That will hurt down the stretch. Dolphins have won 4 in a row. They're 7-3. Cleveland Browns thought a good way to try to beat the Dolphins was only give the ball to Nick Chubb 11 times. Hell, Jacoby Brissett ran 7 times. Miami's got Houston at home next. I'm telling you, these are some good times, Mark. These are some good times. This was a hell of a time for us to start up this whole Florida Sports Network thing. We do it with Tom Brady in Tampa and the Dolphins find an offense. Speaking of Tom Brady in Tampa, they took their act to Germany, where they're still partying, apparently. Bucks were up 21-3. Then, they kind of took the foot off the gas, and Brady threw his first pick in 400 attempts. And next thing you know, Seattle had cut it to 21-16, but the Bucks able to basically run out the clock. How about Rachaad White, 105 yards rushing, huh? How about that? Tampa's 5-5. They got a 1-game lead in the South over Atlanta, and remember they beat Atlanta, so they also own the tiebreaker right now. I think the NFL has officially sent out a release. 7 will win the division. 7 games will win the division if it's the right 7. 8, it's a mortal lock. Bucks enjoying a bye week after party. Listen, when you've got the bye after Germany, do you just stay for an extra day and party?
They should at least got a few hours in.
I mean, you order the transportation people, hey, whatever it says on those sheets, back it up by at least 3 hours. Could be 5, by the way. And how much booze can we bring onto the plane? Game of the day in Buffalo. Turns out Josh Allen doesn't need to practice. And apparently he got one of those, you're not going to do any more damage to the elbow type of, diagnosis from his doctors. And he said, well, hell, in that case, let's go play.
Let me run a few times, and after I throw a pick, I'm going to throw a flying elbow at the defender. Easy for me to say.
So Buffalo did it again. See, they got up 27-10. Do you know the Bills have not scored a second half touchdown in like 6 weeks?
Right.
It's weird. And they're crushing it in the first half and kicking like 1 or 2 field goals, and that's it in the second half of these games.
Well, they could have kicked more field goals, but
right.
They went for it on fourth down.
Constantly, because apparently 3 points on a drive, it's a sin that you just can't live with. No. Once again, you get 11 to 13 possessions a game. If you kicked a field goal on every possession, what do you think your record would be at the end of the year? I'm guessing you'd win a minimum of 14 games. But Minnesota came back, but they were stopped. They were stopped on the goal line, less than a minute to go. The game was over. And then we all saw what happened. Josh Allen with a fumble. Minnesota recovers in the end zone. And he leads them down for the tying field goal. Minnesota gets stopped at the 1 in overtime. They got to kick a field goal. And then Josh Allen throws an interception in the end zone, and the Vikings win it 33-30. And now we can't say that the Vikings haven't beaten a good team. Don't we have to finally give a little something up to the Vikings?
And by we, you mean all of you. I have been trying as hard as I can to pump the Minnesota Vikings this year. Vikings fans have mocked me for saying that they have a good football team.
Right. Vikings fans in our Twitch chat room have said, Mark, just tone it down a notch. I watch them every week. Vikings fans were kind of like me with the Giants. Hey, take it easy now, okay? I don't know if they're a good team. But anyway, what are they, 8-1? Something like that? Got like a five-game lead in the loss column in the division. I don't know how many more they need to win the division, to be honest with you. But they may have to win 1 or 2 more than they thought because Green Bay rallied from a 14-point fourth quarter deficit. Do you know it was the first time the Cowboys had ever lost a game in which they were up by 14 in the fourth quarter? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, or like in the last 185 times apparently that they had a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter. And they had never lost until yesterday. And do you agree with Mike McCarthy's decision to not kick the field goal in overtime?
No. I know it was a long field goal, but they've got a good kicker. It was inside of his range. Put the points on the board.
He passed up a 53-yard field goal with 6 minutes to go in overtime. Remember, it would not have won the game. Green Bay would have gotten the ball back, and that entered into it. He went for it, 4th and 4. They don't make it. Green Bay drives down, kicks the field goal, wins it 31-28 in overtime. Detroit rallied with a touchdown with a little over 2 minutes to go, and despite Justin Fields counting for 4 touchdowns, 2 running, 2 passing, the Lions rally from a couple of big deficits and beat the Bears 31-30. Both teams have 3 wins on the year. Jacksonville stuck at 3 wins because Kansas City beat them 27-17. This Mahomes guy threw for 4 touchdowns. Kansas City 7-2. They're the 1 seed in the AFC. Huh. It's funny how that works.
That before.
Wow. They've already hosted the last 4 AFC championship games. Are you saying they could be 5? The Tennessee Titans won. They got Ryan Tannehill back. He threw 2 touchdown passes. They're 6-3. And the Broncos are 3-6. A fascinating stat, Mark. The Broncos have played 9 games. If they had scored 18 points in all 9 of their games, they'd be 8-1. Just getting to 18. Now, remember, they fired the defensive coach to bring in the offensive coach, went out and got a quarterback, gave him $250 million, and all they needed to do, apparently, was keep Drew Lock and score 18 points a game. But we digress. Hey, the Colts picked off a coach off the scrap heap of life this week and went out to Vegas and beat the Raiders 25-20. Jeff Saturday put Matt Ryan back in the starting lineup. He threw for 222 and a touchdown, completed 75% of his passes, had a 40-yard scramble, which is amazing because it took 19 seconds. But the Colts are 4-5-1. Are they back in the playoff chase?
No.
Probably not. They're a game and a half out. But meanwhile, the Las Vegas Raiders right now are picking second in the draft. The Las Vegas Raiders. who won 10 games a year ago, are picking second in the draft. Houston's picking first, and they lost to the Giants 24-16. Daniel Jones threw 2 touchdown passes, and Saquon Barkley ran for $152 and a touchdown, and the Giants are 7-2. Okay, they don't suck. I don't think they're good, but they don't suck.
And I think there's a lot of that in the NFL this year.
Neither one of these teams are good, and you could argue the Rams now suck. But anyway, it was Colt McCoy against John Wolford. How about that pitching matchup? Cardinals beat the Rams 27-17. Niners beat the Chargers 22-16 last night. Both teams are 5-4. And both teams have 3 wins in Pittsburgh because the Steelers beat the Saints 20-10, scoring 10 points in the fourth quarter. Najee with 99 yards rushing and a touchdown. And Eagles, who are unbeaten, host Washington tonight. Probably the season for the Commanders. They win, they're just a game out of the playoffs. They lose, they're in a group at 4-6, and, well, it's unlikely. Eagles are 11-point favorites, over-unders 43.5. College football, Mark, the polls have a consensus top 5. Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU, and Tennessee. The debate begins at 6. One poll has LSU 6. The other poll has USC at 6. Then there's consensus at 8, 9, and 10 with Alabama, Clemson, and Utah. UCF is ranked either 17th or 18th, depending on the poll, and Florida State is 20th in both polls. NBA last night. Joel Embiid, listen to this. I know most of you are not paying attention to the NBA yet. I get it. Joel Embiid had 59 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, and 7 blocks.
That'll play.
Not in a week, by the way. That was last night. Sixers rallied to beat Utah at home, 105-98. Knicks scored 135 points and lost by 10. That's tough to do to Oklahoma City. Minnesota beat Cleveland by 5. Cavs are slumping. Washington beat Memphis by 10. Denver by 23 over Chicago. Sacramento beat Golden State, 122-115. And no LeBron, and the Lakers won by 13. Davis, auditioning maybe for a trade, outplayed KD in the 116-103 win over Brooklyn. College hoops last night, one ranked team at home, they got beat. Colorado beat Tennessee by 12. The lone Florida team to play last night, FGCU, beat Ave Maria by 44, set a school record for most made threes. In women's hoops, Miami, Florida, Florida State, USF, and FGCU were all victorious. NHL, Lightning scored 4 in the first last night, Mark. 4 in the first. Sergachev had 2 goals and 2 assists on those 4 goals. Tampa Bay beat Washington 6-3. The Bruins are 14-2. That's a good start to a season, ladies and gentlemen, in any sport. They beat Vancouver 5-2. Rangers beat Arizona 4-1. Winnipeg and Dallas are tied for first in the Central, and they both won yesterday. Winnipeg beat Seattle 3-2 in overtime, and Dallas here in Philadelphia. Think about that little double dip in the same building. You know, the Knicks and Rangers had it yesterday. Basketball team played early, hockey team played late, same building. They did the same thing in Philly. Sixers played and Flyers played. Dallas beat them 5-1. San Jose over Minnesota 3-2 in a shootout. Tony Finau won the Houston Open by 4, very quietly, Mark, in the last 3-4 months. Tony Finau, who kept not winning for 5 years, has figured out a way to win. He's got 3 wins in the last 4 months, won the Houston Open by 4. He made a cool $1.5 million. But the best golf story, Mark, Stephen Alker. Did you see this? Champions Tour. 14 months ago, he had no status on the Champions Tour. He qualified for the Boeing Classic, in a Monday qualifier. Finished in the top 10, got him in the tournament the next week. 15 months later, Mark, he wins the season-long Schwab Cup.
Wow.
He went from journeyman Monday qualifier, and 15 months later, he's the ruler of the Champions Tour.
And it's as hard to make an event in the Champions Tour through Monday as it damn near is on the PGA Tour. There are very few spots available.
Podrick Harrington won the season finale, but Stephen Alker finished in the top 5, so he won the season-long thing, and he made about $7 million. 15 months ago, he was Monday qualifying. Hot damn. LPGA Tour's in Naples this week for their Tour Championship. It's called the CME Globe. And that, ladies and gentlemen,
That was the starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
I knew you'd like that story, Mark.
It's a great story.
You know how you and I thought the best tournament in the world was the Masters, and the second best tournament was Q School.
And to get through these Monday qualifiers, what you have to shoot, how low you have to go, and then to turn it around and play well enough to top 10 in the tournament, you're playing unbelievable golf. It is so hard to do, so impressive. Hats off right there. That is an unbelievable feat at any age level. Miller and Moulton, that was a starting 5. We'll talk some Saturday. The school in Orlando had a mighty win. We'll break that down on the other side right here on Miller and Moulton.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yes, I will have a cheesesteak. There's a major off-the-field event going on today in Philadelphia. There is no person in this world that I know that loves a meatball more than Troy Aikman. And Joe Buck's 20-year stats guy is named Ed Sfida. He lives in Philadelphia.
Oh, is this Ed's mom's making meatballs?
And Ed's mom. All right. Because apparently in the past they even brought like the crock pot and everything to the booth, and it was a big ordeal. And Troy's like, listen, that was awesome, but I don't want them to have to go through that again. And so Ed goes, well, what if they made it and I brought it to the hotel? So I think Troy, and we're staying in a 5-star hotel, all right, with, world-renowned chefs and everything. They got nothing on the fact that Troy's lunch today, I believe, is going to be Mrs. Fita's meatballs brought to the hotel by Ed Svita, Philadelphia's own. So that's the big event going on today behind the scenes. Troy's getting his meatballs.
Is there a Manning cast tonight?
I don't know. I will have a cheesesteak. There is a place a block and a half away from the hotel. It's okay. I mean, it's not, awesome, but it checks the box. The pretzels are in the press box, okay, and they're tremendous. Eagles press box food, one of the best, I think, because of the pretzels. Klecko, I think the meatballs will make the broadcast. I do. I have a feeling Mrs. Fita, pictures of the meatballs, I have a feeling it will make the broadcast. And also, I'll let everybody in. As I said, Fita's from Philly, and of course, Troy played for the Cowboys. So anytime the Eagles do something good, and we're doing an Eagles game, Svita will yell at Aikman, "Hey, 8!" And Troy looks over thinking this is, something important and he needs to know for the broadcast. And Svita, I'll crouch to try to do this. And Svita will then look at him and do this. So that'll happen about 6 times during the broadcast tonight.
Unless, of course, Washington wins.
Right. Troy is a really good guy, but he is unbelievably territorial about his meatballs.
30 seconds.
Unless there's enough where everybody can have a meatball and he can still get the quantity that he wants, there will be no sharing of the meatballs.
I was going to try to do a poll question this break, but we broke down meatballs instead. Well, you guys are all better off for it because we can't do a poll question on this show.
Here we go, guys.
How do you like your eggs?
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And it is hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. And if football was involved, well, then very likely you did. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. As you know, most Mondays we don't have any guests. We just want to hear from you, whether it's via the text line. FSN radio is the keyword, FSN radio, all one word. And you text it to 21,000, 21000, and there you go. And if you're taking in the Miller and Moulton broadcast via twitch.tv, well, then you've got the Twitch chat room, which is never shy. That is for sure. Whether it's about firing people, hiring people, boasting, crying, you name it, it happens all the time in our Twitch chat room.
They are not territorial, though. They welcome newcomers into the Twitch chat room with open arms because anytime someone new coming in, they're very welcoming to a newbie into the Twitch chat room.
That is true. That is true. But then they have to keep up, though. I mean, you give you a grace period. And by grace period, it's about an hour. Okay. By the next hour, you got to be up to speed.
But it was a really good weekend for college football in the state of Florida. We focused most of the first hour on Sundays with the Bucks having a great win in Munich and the Dolphins with another impressive performance, and Tua, who continues to be just such a terrible quarterback, just wins every damn time he puts on a jersey. That's all.
But winning is not a quarterback stat, Mark. It's not a quarterback stat. So says Trey Wingo. And he might be right, because they put up a stat last night that the Niners are 10-2 in games in which Garoppolo does not throw a touchdown. So maybe it's not a quarterback stat.
I don't know. It's the best start for the Dolphins in like umpteen years, the most yards they've had since this guy Marino played quarterback, best quarterback rating they've had since this guy named Marino played quarterback. So I don't know. See, things seem to be going pretty well for the Dolphins and Tua.
But not as well as it went for the, big four, if you will, in college football in the state of Florida this week. Heck, Miami showed a little heart, won a college football game. Handily, by the way. Huh. Guess Mario knows which guys he's keeping.
They must figure that out during the week after the quitting that went on against Florida State. The Canes came out and had their best performance in months.
Now, I mean, it did help that they picked off 4 passes, but hey, Brown came in at quarterback, was efficient, 14 of 19, threw 3 touchdowns. Now we wonder who's going to be the quarterback in Miami going forward. Is Van Dyke going to be in the transfer portal? I mean, Mark, as you know, it only takes 1 week in college football for somebody to wait. You're our foundation. The hell with that. I'm transferring to K-State. Oh, okay.
We shall see there, but UCF probably out of the 4 Florida schools in the only game. They went to Tulane and had to hold them off, but really held them at arm's length throughout most of the game.
Yeah, they were the better team. Plumlee played, and if he played, the thought was, we had Chris Landry on every Friday going through the college games, and he said this is a pretty even matchup, but I think UCF is the edge at quarterback if their starter's healthy enough to play. He was healthy enough to play. He was really good. UCF played with the lead most of the day and held off Tulane. And it looks as if they're going to be in the AAC championship game. It's just a matter of, who they're going to play. So, way to go. Awesome.
Absolutely. The Gators pound South Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you what, it had the feel, those that were there, even Matt Baker, who comes on the show regularly, it had the feel from those that were there that it was Anthony Richardson's last game in the Swamp. Those around it just got the sense that, by the way he was acting and just leaving the stadium and all that, deep down, even he thinks that was my last game in the Swamp, which makes the fact that the Gators flipped that 4-star quarterback from California, from Miami to them, could make that even a bigger recruiting deal.
Florida State with a beatdown of Syracuse.
Come on. Listen, no offense. I'm wrong about a lot of things. All right. I was right about Mike Norville. Okay. And Florida State, they're actually better than their record. You look at them analytically and where they are offensively and defensively, they're in the top 20 in both. And in fact, I think they're in the top 15 in both. There's only like 3 other schools that are in the top 15 in both. And 2 of them right now would make the playoff. Florida State is, put it this way, that October schedule, Mark, where they lost 3 close games in a row. So what was it? I know one of them was Clemson, Wake, and then was it NC State?
Yeah.
Or let me tell you something. Those 3 schools don't want to line up and play Florida State this month. And that Florida State game now, You know what? Florida's feeling their oats, and Florida State's really feeling their oats.
This could be a good old-fashioned Florida State game where these two teams, this could be angry. This could have a little angst to it because it will make one of the two teams' seasons.
Did you see the little clip on the ACC network?
David.
What?
The AC, I mean, I know you didn't ask me if I saw it on the Pac-12 network, but it's not that far away.
Well, Mark, I didn't say, did you see it live?
Fair enough.
I just said, that it might have gone viral because, Mark, it's not like I saw it live. I was driving from Oxford to Memphis, for good's sakes. But so, Florida State just whoops up on Syracuse, and they're doing a little post game on the ACC network. And I don't know who the panelists were, but I know one of them was Mark Richt. And I know Mike Norville was sitting in the middle of the panel, and Richt was on the end, on the right side of our screen. And Mark Richt looks at Norvell and says, listen, Mike, I went to Miami. I was an assistant in Florida State, and I was the head coach at Miami. Can you do me a favor in 2 weeks and kick the Gators' ass? Right there on TV, he said it. Okay. And actually, he didn't refer to the Gators by name. He almost pulled like an Urban and, that team up north. Okay. He called them some moniker. And when Norvell answered the question, he repeated the moniker. And I'm thinking to myself, well, all righty then. Let's do this.
Good.
So go find the clip. And also, it's Mark Richt, who's damn near a minister.
Right.
And he's cursing on TV. I'm like, look at you. See, college football will do that.
It really will.
I mean, he never swears. He hasn't watched a college football game, has he? We can get him to swear.
I mean, remember, he lost to those Gators teams a lot when he was at Georgia.
Right. So I thought that was interesting. Good little clip there. You may want to find that if you didn't see it, ladies and gentlemen. And we got to wait 12 more days for that one, or 11, because remember, it's a Friday night after Thanksgiving. It will be nationally televised, though. So I'm hoping the nation, this game hasn't had its own time slot in a while. So, Mark, I'm hoping Florida State and Florida both keep on keeping on for another week and the whole deal. And then, let's have a good Florida State game with a little vinegar. All right.
Little hatred, little angst in there would not be a bad thing.
Yeah.
But a really solid weekend for the state of Florida in college football, a really solid weekend for David Moulton picking games. He picked like 600 of them over the weekend and won more than he lost.
I went 5-3, and that's with a bad beat in the USF game, but I deserved it because I violated my new rule, which was to stop betting on bad teams. I was getting 17.5. All right, the new coach are at home, going to make a big deal, and they were inspired. It was tied at the half. I'm getting 17.5. That's a win-win, baby. Turns out SMU scores 24 unanswered. I need a late touchdown. And I get it with 1:40 to go. All I have to do is kick the extra point, lose by 17. Damn interim coach goes for 2. Thinks, well, see, here's what we're going to do. We're going to convert the 2. We're going to recover the onside kick. We're going to drive down. We're going to score a touchdown. We're going to convert that 2. Then we're going to recover another onside kick. We're going to drive down. We're going to score that touchdown. We're going to convert another 2. And that'll just get us to overtime. We're going to do all of this in 1:46. This is where you need somebody up in the booth to say, listen, if you want any chance of the job, kick the extra point. Make sure you cover for the boosters. We've got 7 of them. Okay, they all got big money on this game. You want the job, cover. No.
I went 2-3. LSU had a lead, gave up the 10-point lead late, lost that by a hook.
Yep, 3.5. Hate those 3-point wins when you're laying 3.5.
Lee went 3-2, but lost his game of the week.
He did. He bailed on his
had the
Canes.
sting. That one had to sting for Lee because he is a diehard Canes fan and had Georgia Tech in his game of the week. So not only did he pick against his beloved Canes, they beat him.
And it's the first time the Canes have covered a game this year. So, yeah. See, I deserved it. All right? I bet money on a bad team, South Florida. Lee deserved it. He went against his beloved Canes. Even though all the metrics and everything said he was on the right side. College football gods got back at both of us, Mark. And then for good measure, they said we got to rope Miller into this. We'll give him a half-point loss on LSU Arkansas. All three of you need to learn this gambling thing. You know, you can't retire on it.
No, there is no question there. But a good week for David, 5-3, crawling his way back, trying to get to the Mendoza line by the end of the year. He's the only one out of the two of us that has a shot. I think my days are numbered unless I have about a 24-pick week.
I'm 10 below 500. And I'm on a roll, ladies and gentlemen. I'm 6 above 500 in the last month, and I'm 10 below overall.
But a great weekend in Florida for the college teams. Florida State, Florida, Miami, and UCF all with wins. The Dolphins and Bucks win as well. Holy cow, what the heck is going on? Miller and Moulton, Florida football. It's moving on the Florida Football Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just worked with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Can I throw one short college thing out there, and then we'll do the pod to get through this segment?
Sure.
Do we want to do a poll question?
Sure.
Josh Allen and Justin Herbert have combined to throw 12 interceptions since the last time Tua threw a pick.
Wow. Pretty good stat right there.
I got a few stats on what the world was like the last time the Dolphins were 7-3.
Oh, yeah, I saw that tweet. That's an awesome tweet.
Yeah, Tim Reynolds.
That's cool. Now take your time when you're reading through it, okay?
Okay.
Because wasn't it like 0102, something like that?
01.
01. All right.
You were born in 2000, Philly?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deadstruck, I don't know if the Vikings are a problem, but I know they're the 2 seed.
Yeah, which 2 seed's scarier right now, the Vikings or the Dolphins?
That could be the poll question. Put the records next to both. What's it? 8-1, 7-3, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which 2 seed will go further in the playoffs? Is it further or farther? Farther, right?
Farther. No, I think it's further.
Further?
Further in the playoffs.
I don't
I don't know.
Which team will make a deeper playoff run?
There you go. Thank you, Mark. God bless you.
Oh, man.
You know who was great at that was Vern. Whenever you had those, said farther, further, what have you, all of those things, Vern was great at. No, it is funny. Who was it again who tweeted out yesterday, 1 o'clock Cousins?
So I'm listening on the way in, and I think it was Booger talking about what a good win it was for the young quarterback, talking about Cousins. I'm like, young?
Isn't he like 33?
Right. It was, and he just throws a lot of he throws a lot of interceptions, but he just comes back and throws. It's like the worst take I've ever heard. I'm like, I just like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah, DC. Right now, though, you're feeling good if you're a Vikings fan. Do you know who you'd host this weekend in the playoffs? The Niners. That would not be an easy game at all.
I saw a stat also that to Waddle and Hill threw that made up like 119 of his yards, and then the rest, like everyone else, was like 196 yards.
Yeah, but I don't think it was that much because neither of them had over.
Sorry, Tua had like 280 something yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Waddle had 66 and Hill had 44. So yeah, 110 yards.
110,
right. They spread it around this week. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Wilson Jr.
Jeff Wilson on my fantasy football bench.
Mine too.
God. Had to start Walker though.
Yeah, but DC, 2 months from now, will they be injury plagued? Now, most people think the Niners are going to catch the Seahawks and win the division, and the Seahawks are going to be a 6 or 7.
10 seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Thanks for waking up with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I'm in Philadelphia, where it is beautiful until you go outside and it's 34 degrees. It's going to be clear, crisp tonight for Monday Night Football. Going to be about 38 at kickoff. Get down, around 34, 35 by the end of the game. Eagles unbeaten, 11-point favorites against Taylor Heineke.
I think just to have the feel of the game tonight, I'll put a blanket around myself while I watch it on the couch, David.
How about a scarf of some kind? And if you don't have one for yourself, Mark, borrow one of your wife's. I know it's a different kind of scarf, but you know what? Just go with it.
Just so I can feel cool.
Right.
Besides, she's cool, cold weather.
Right. Besides, she's from Pittsburgh. I'll bet you she's got a scarf. The problem is it may be a Steelers one. And I don't know if you could get yourself to wear it. But Eagles 8-0, Commanders 4-5. Big game for Washington. You know, if they lose, which they're favored to do, they'll fall to 4-6, and that's 2 full games in a loss column behind the last playoff spot in the NFC. Niners right now at 5-4 hold down the 7 seed.
You're looking at it. I mean, you've got Atlanta, who's a game behind Tampa, Green Bay 4-6, and now Washington with 4 wins, as well as the Cardinals.
Right.
Getting late early, David.
But that's why that both Arizona and Green Bay winning yesterday, it's kind of like, well, okay, they give themselves, you know, all right, there's a chance. Hey, how many teams realistically right now have a shot at the playoff in college football? I'm going to go through these 9, and you tell me if any of them are out. Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU, Tennessee, USC, only Pac-12 team with 1 loss. If you missed it this weekend, Washington beat Oregon, and Arizona beat UCLA. Wow.
That is a bad loss for the Bruins.
LSU, they're in the SEC championship game. It's done. They won the West, and they've got 2 losses.
They're not out. You win that conference, if they beat Georgia, they are going to go to the college football playoff. Period. End of sentence.
You're convinced of that?
I am convinced of it.
Okay. Does need to be pointed out, we've never had a 2-loss team in this format that's made the 14 playoff. Remember, they didn't put 6 years ago 2-loss Big Ten champion Penn State, who beat Ohio State in the regular season. They put the 11-1 Buckeyes in the playoff at the expense of the 11-2 Big Ten champion Nittany Lions.
Difference is the 11-2 Big Ten champion beat whom in the Big Ten playoff? Or Big Ten championship game?
I think it was Wisconsin. Don't quote me.
And LSU is going to beat Georgia in this. I mean, it has to be pointed out that they will have beaten the number 1 team in the country to do so. It's a very different scenario than Penn State. I know you have to point it out, but it is completely different.
Okay. Now, you know the team that I've advocated all last week for, and I said they are very much alive. Clemson.
Well, they had a nice little weekend.
All except one thing. I mean, let's face it. TCU still got the donut.
They do.
They've got the donut. And did they just alleviate potentially the biggest obstacle left on their schedule? We don't know. But this just in, they handled Texas over the weekend. I mean, handled them. That was a good old-fashioned defensive game. Anyway. And you tell me if this team's alive. North Carolina. They have 1 loss. That's it. It was to Notre Dame, who, by the way, is now back in the top 20. That's like LSU having an early season loss to Florida State, who's now ranked in the top 20. North Carolina has won 6 games by a 7 or less, but they're winning them. And they won their side. It's North Carolina Clemson, baby. They both have 1 loss for the ACC championship. Imagine if they're both 11-1, Mark. They play each other. A 12-1 ACC champion. And you know what my argument's been. If that 12-1 ACC champion is named Clemson, I mean, come on now. That ain't Wake Forest. But you tell me, Clemson and North Carolina, do you think they're alive?
I think they have to be.
Just imagine if TCU loses, how alive Clemson / North Carolina is. Because
I'm stunned to see that they are ranked as poorly as they are at 9-1. How they're not ahead of Penn State. How they're not ahead of Oregon.
Now, remember, that's in the AP and coaches poll. Correct?
No, I know.
Right. And tomorrow night, we'll get the playoff committee poll, which is the only poll that matters.
The coaches poll, they're ahead of Penn State and Oregon. They're behind Utah.
Yeah. For the record, if you care about what the AP and the coaches have said, Bama's 8, Clemson's 9, Utah's 10. So North Carolina is outside the top 10 by both the writers and the coaches so far. But And if you don't think the ACC champion with one loss is in right now, okay. Just imagine Georgia beats LSU and TCU loses. Now tell me how close you think the one-loss ACC champion is to the party. You're going to take Tennessee at 11-1, Michigan/Ohio State at 11-1 over 12-1 ACC champion Clemson. That's what it could come down to, Mark.
Miller and Moulton. Always taking your thoughts on the text line. The number is 21,000. Text FSN Radio to 21,000 to offer up your thoughts on how this college football season is going to shake down and if Clemson and North Carolina, in your eyes, are still alive. It's time now for our Clutch Vodka play of the day. That's Clutch with a K, David. What do you got, Felipe?
I mean, come on. You knew it was coming. Justin Jefferson, 4th and 18.
25 yards from the line of scrimmage. Kirk back to pass. He's going to heave one to JJ to the right. Jefferson leaps to catch it, and he caught it at the Bills 40. What a grab! Are you kidding me with that catch, JJ? First down, Vikings to the 41 of the Bills. So for Justin Jefferson, that's going to be a reception of 32 yards, and that's one of the most cold-blooded receptions you're ever going to see in your life.
Cold-blooded receptions. I like it. That's our Clutch Vodka play of the day. Have some cold-blooded Clutch Vodka over ice in your glass.
That's Paul Allen on KFan and the Vikings radio network. Paul Allen, remember when Favre threw the interception in the NFC Championship game? And he just said, picked off. And instead of describing the run back, in which the Saints guy was like one missed tackle away from taking it to the house, he just ignored it. He goes, I can't believe that. Can't believe he threw that pass.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It was a spectacular home call.
Intercepted. Oh, my goodness. I can't believe it.
I can't believe it. Can't believe he threw that pass. What was he thinking?
Great
that
call.
That game was clutch. That game was tremendous.
Something. It was something. Were you at all thinking, by the way, on the one, take a safety?
No, not on that play, because it would have cut it to 2 and they would have free kicked, and then you're like 25 yards away from the game-winning field goal. So no, not on that play. There was too much time left in the game. I thought,
and they had a timeout.
Right. They got 6 plays in them if you take the safety there.
But Bills might have wanted to kick a field goal earlier in the game when they were up by 10 on 4th.
Yeah, really.
I don't know. These points, David, I don't know why you'd want to score them in a football game. We've got some great numbers to give you on the other side about a little team in South Florida. We'll have that when we come back. Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN play of the day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the play of the day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka play of the day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Over the middle, intercepted. I can't believe what I'm seeing right now. It was intercepted by Tracy Porter, near side to the 40, and John Sullivan runs him down to the 47-yard line.
Yeah, KW. If your quarterback can run, he's going to get it done. Hey, there you go. KW, that's why I drafted Trey Lance. Then, you know. Oh my gosh, stop the press. The Lakers won. Oh my gosh. What? The Kings beat the Warriors?
You just skip the starting five when that goes on and he reads all these scores?
I know the Warriors lost, but I didn't realize it was the Kings. Wow. The
I
Warriors.
think if he would have caught that pass earlier in the season, Clark, it all went down when he dropped that ball.
I mean, you can take a knee and try a 56-yard field goal. This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Who was that?
Paul
That was
Allen.
Paul Allen after it's intercepted. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe what I'm seeing.
Oh, yeah. It was so good. Anybody watch the Georgia-Mississippi State game at all? I was listening to the Mississippi State radio network driving through northwestern Mississippi back to Memphis, and the officiating in the first half. And then did you see the halftime? This is the sideline reporter that they've had Leach a few times this year. Okay. And he's been great with her. I think he even asked, did a post game with her about her wedding, her upcoming wedding. Okay. So she's her final question. And they like did a 30-yard walk. They're like walking into the locker room together. And she goes, finally, coach, you spent a lot of time yelling at the officials in the first half. Your thoughts on the first half officiating. And he just said, well, how about you guys are watching the game? How about you guys say what you think you've seen? Okay. And I'll just, I'll go with whatever you guys say. How's that? She goes, thanks, coach.
You spent a lot of time yelling at the officials. They are 195-1 all time with a 14-point lead entering the fourth quarter as the Cowboys. 195-1.
30 seconds.
They were 195-0 though, weren't they?
Right.
Right. By the way, Adam, I'm the one who's been saying Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback for years. Not a top 10 quarterback, but
10 seconds.
I've liked him better than Vikings fans.
Top 10 in fantasy.
Always has been.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us, Miller and Moulton, on this Monday, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I'm in Philadelphia. It is clear. It is cool by Philadelphia standards. It is just downright frigid by Florida Sports Network standards. It's 34 right now. Bright sunshine, though, in 34. One of those 34 marks. Remember that? Back in the day? Looks beautiful outside. You go outside, you're like, oh, that's right. It's 34.
It is the one thing that I get fooled by still if I travel up to see my mother-in-law in Pittsburgh. A day like that, nice sunny day. She's got a lot of windows in the house, and you have that impression that it's actually nice weather, and you walk out, and it just punches you right in the mouth.
Right. And then the first thing you do is you see your breath, and you go, ah, fooled again. Darn. So Eagles Commanders tonight. Philly's undefeated. They're 11-point favorites. The over-under is 43.5. So do some quick math. That's 27-16, basically. Give or take a half a point. Philly tonight trying to improve to 9-0. And the schedule's pretty favorable. We know it's the NFL. Anybody can beat anybody, but they're going to be clear favorites for the next 5-6 weeks. That's all we're saying. That's all.
The Dolphins with a big win yesterday. They are now leading the division. They are the 2 seed.
Can you just say that again slowly?
The Miami Dolphins are leading the AFC East, and they are currently the 2 seed in the AFC.
On November what?
14th.
Wow. When's the last time something like this happened?
Well, I got some stats for that, actually.
Go, Felipe.
Did you guys know that the last time the Dolphins were 7-3 was 2001? That was 24 starting quarterbacks ago. 8 head coaches ago.
Hold on. 8 coaches?
8 head coaches.
8 head coaches ago.
Okay.
7 stadium names ago.
Well, especially with what happened over the weekend in Miami with the whole FTX arena.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
The Heat had 0 titles. LeBron was in high school.
Hold on. Ooh, that's right.
Yeah. Different Miami.
Well, not only that, they had gone to, I think, just one conference final, 97 with Morning. Wow. Okay.
LeBron was in high school. So, iPod had just come out. The iPhone was 6 years away from being released. Tua Tagovailoa was 3 years old.
How old were you?
Oh, I was 1. I was not even 1 years old.
Right, you weren't even walking
I was
yet.
born in July of 2000. So this is a pretty unprecedented thing that is happening here in my life as a Dolphin fan.
Well, no, you are 1.
Yeah, you'd have been 1.5. So you're walking.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you're 16 months old when they were 7-3.
Right,
So
my bad. Bad math. Sorry. Tom Brady was a first-year starter.
That's right. They were, in fact, remember, weren't they 5-5? At the time the Dolphins were 7-3, Brady and the Patriots were 5-5. The dynasty, needless to say, no one thought the dynasty was around the corner.
And last but not least, Mike McDaniel was a Yale freshman.
Those are some good numbers right there.
Which is funny, though, because right now Mike McDaniel looks as if he could be a Yale grad student. I mean, he doesn't look as if he's much older.
Yeah, that was not that impressive. But just so you know, the
How
feeling
many?
that I am feeling right now.
All right. How many quarterbacks again?
Oh, 24.
And 8 head coaches.
8 head
Yes.
coaches, 24 starting quarterbacks.
Don't forget the 7 stadium names as well.
So for those that are not Doll fans, for those that are not, haven't been part of Florida for that long, for those of us who have moved here and have called it now home for a generation and beyond, this is what we've lived through. The mediocre at best Dolphins, the punchline Dolphins. When are they ever going to be good again?
And I was around a lot of Bostonians this weekend. Played some golf with some friends on Saturday and Sunday. And by Sunday, they all see the Bucks won. What?
Oh, it's still following you know who.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. 2 in a row, and they're all back on the Bucks bandwagon.
Oh, come on. I mean, if you were Paige, how in the world are you ever going to not love Brady?
I got it.
I mean, come on. And the more mediocre that your Patriots are, I think the more you end up loving Brady.
There is no doubt. There is no doubt. And as it's been pointed out, he's 2-0 since the divorce, David.
Yes, absolutely. Well, cleared his mind. Besides, it's not like she needs a lot of money. I mean, just some working money for the kids. Apparently she bought a place like just across like the pond from him. They're like a 3-minute walk from each other in Miami. He's got a place, she's got a place. They'll be fine. Kids will run back and forth between the houses. It'll be fine. It's all good.
If they actually had to pay child support to one another, could you imagine what that would be? Because they're both loaded, so I'm sure it just works out however. But could you just imagine?
Mark, it could be so little money in the grand scheme of things that neither one of them might be aware of it. They're letting like their lawyers and accountants handling it. They might not, like 3 years down the road, they may go, hold on a second. I give him $10,000 a month. I mean, really? Was that what I agreed to? Huh.
But what a weekend. We've not had one of these where everybody was impressive. Dolphins impressive, Bucks impressive, Gators, Knowles, Canes,
Knights. It is a question with them joining the Big 12 here in an hour and a half. Does it become the Big 4?
Wouldn't you think from a scheduling standpoint that they're going to get a little more love from the other Florida schools? It's not playing a group of 5 team anymore. It's a Big 12 game.
And also, we're going to change the playoff format in which the top 6 conference champions are going to be in the playoff. I mean, listen, let's be honest here. Can we just talk, just us on the side? 4 years from now, better chance of making the playoff. Going through the ACC, going through the SEC, winning the Big 12. Better chance of making the playoff. I don't know how much worse UCF's odds are of making the playoff, quite frankly, than Florida State. Because right now, until proven otherwise, neither Florida or Florida State's the best team in their league. So it's like the NFL. You're thinking, well, we got to go the wild card route. So as it is right now, you're competing for what? 6 wild card spots nationwide. That's it. Now, maybe by the time this playoff's instituted, Mark, Florida and Florida State are running their leagues again. Who knows? But right now, you're a wild card.
I noticed how you didn't even mention Miami because, well, them ruling their league isn't something that's happened since they've been in that league.
Well, they've only made the ACC championship game once.
I know.
Right. And it is difficult to imagine Miami winning the ACC. So right now, you're thinking we're competing for 6 wild card spots until either Miami or Florida State takes down Clemson. I mean, Clemson's the dog and everybody else is a puppy. Now, for the longest time, before Clemson took down Florida State was the alpha. And we go back in the 80s and the 90s, and we know it's Florida State and Miami were the alphas. But, I mean, I don't know how much tougher it's going to be for UCF, if you know what I mean. Now, yeah, Cincinnati joins with them, BYU, the Big 12 is going to be decent, but it's not going to be great.
It's not going to be great. It's going to be winnable every year for UCF.
Yeah.
Every damn year, David.
It for the teams that are remaining in the Big 12, do you think UCF's at a recruiting disadvantage with any of the other 11 remaining teams in the Big 12? No. Not to say some of the Texas schools can't get the same damn talent as UCF, but, I mean, Mark.
Oklahoma State or UCF, from a recruiting standpoint?
Yeah, UCF.
Because Oklahoma State's probably, Oklahoma State, TCU are going to be the best left. Year in, year out.
Baylor, I might argue Baylor, but TCU, Baylor, UCF. Cincinnati, UCF. I mean, I think if you're UCF, you're like, listen, we're not looking up at anyone here. If we don't win it, that's on us. We've got it. No one has an advantage on us here. Stadium, resources, recruiting, 200-mile circle. We may be 1A, 1B, whatever, but no, we're not 3, if you know what I mean. So they're going to be in a really good spot going forward. I mean, just throwing this out there. So say the playoff starts in 2026. We do 10 years, 2026 through 2035. Who makes the playoff more, Gators or UCF? Canes or UCF? Knowles or UCF?
It's a fascinating look at what's ahead, because we think Florida State's got their act together and they're moving in the right direction. Florida's starting to get some recruits. They're moving in the right direction.
If I put the over-under during that 10-year stretch for UCF, and we're assuming, whether it's Gus or whomever, they've got a good coach. They keep their act is together right now. They keep it together. What Scott Frost started and Heupel, and now we're not going backwards. Okay, we're going to keep on keeping on with UCF. We're going to do this for a generation where they're a really good, solid college football program. Mark, if I put the over under 3.5 playoff appearances for UCF in that 10-year window, 2026 through 2035, 3.5.
I'd go under.
Okay.
I don't know if they'd win 4 conference championships in that time. If it was 2.5, I might change my vote, David.
So you're looking at it saying, listen, when this thing starts, we're going to do 10 years, and I'm expecting UCF to win the Big 12 at least and make the playoff at least 3 times.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's not going to be easy to make this playoff, even though we're expanding it. And, even for Florida, and who we think Napier is the right coach, and then they're going to be back real soon. Norvell looks as if he's proving he's the right coach, and they may be back like 2 days ago. I mean, they may be back. And we're assuming Manning is going to build Miami up the way he did Oregon. Okay. I don't know how many more times the Big 3 is going to make the playoff more than UCF. I mean, I might by the smallest margins bet on Florida State.
And I might bet on Florida just because I think 4 SEC schools a year are going to get in this tournament. And I'm thinking they have the opportunity to get there as many times as any other schools. Could be 2 ACC schools, 4 SEC schools, 3-4 Big Ten schools, and then we'll round out the rest of this sucker.
You'd be surprised, though, with 6 conference champions and only 6 wild card spots remaining, how few spots are available. I mean, really, you start doing the math here. There are not as many spots available as you think. Like if you go 4 SEC schools, which I agree with you, on average, I think they're going to get 4. That means there's 3 wild cards for the whole rest of the country.
And I think 2 of them go to the Big Ten,
which means
that
there's
leaves
one. So the second best team in ACC, Pac-12?
Correct.
That's not a lot of spots. That's all we're saying.
Miller and Moulton. We will turn and head back to Sundays because it was a glorious one. And find out if the Bills do indeed have a close game problem. Do the Packers have a shot at the playoffs after yesterday's win? And we'll talk more about the Dolphins and Bucks as well, with their victories leading them both into first place in their respective divisions. First place, I say, the Bucks and the Dolphins. Miller and Moulton, we thank you guys so much for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs, presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs, powered by Clutch Vodka.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Bray, it doesn't matter if there are 12 worthy teams. Besides this year, I mean, basically it's been proven over and over, Bray. There's like 3 teams every year that we consider to be above everyone else. Remember, the debate's always been about who should be number 4. So does that mean 12 can't beat 4? Yeah. I mean, think of the teams that would be the back end of the 12 team field this year. Alabama would go on the road in the first round. If Alabama wins out and posts a 10-2, I think they'd be in. And they'd be a 10, 11, or 12 seed. Imagine Alabama visiting Ohio State or Michigan in a 5-12 matchup.
Ooh.
Or Alabama visiting Clemson in a 6-11 matchup, with Clemson being the 6 as the ACC champion. How about UCF getting in as the 12 seed? Let's make them the AAC champion right now. Top 6 conference champions get in. UCF would clearly be number 6. Okay, so they're seeded, say, 12.
No, they'd be seeded 6.
I don't think so. I don't think they get a home game. I think they get in, but they get seeded.
Okay.
I don't think the conference champions all get home games.
Well, 4 wouldn't for sure.
I don't think the big boys would let a Mountain West team host them, if you know what I mean. They'd have to be worthy of it. I thought that was the deal. I thought Sankey said, I'll give you a spot, but I'm not going to do it like the NFL. Yeah, Shimko, it is.
It is. It's all right. Better than bad bowl games, Bray.
Bray, you think, I mean, first off, right now, if you put UCF in as the 12, and if you go by what the rankings are right now, how ironic, UCF would go to Tennessee.
30 seconds.
I'm in.
Oh, it's better than what we have now. This season's over already. And there's still, this one's a little different. There's a lot being played for, but I mean, the Pac-12 would be fascinating.
USC's the 6 right now. Let's just say USC hosting Alabama in a 6-11.
10 seconds.
Anybody have any interest in that?
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the 8 o'clock hour, final hour of the show in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte to Venice. We're just halfway home for our base in the 239. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. First place Miami Dolphins in mid-November. Thank you very much. The 2 seed. Only one team in the conference has a better record than the Miami Dolphins. Huh? First place Tampa Bay Bucks. They found a running game. They're in the worst division in the league. They're going to win the division. They're going to host at least one playoff game. Brady in January. Seriously? They don't have a puncher's chance, huh?
With the Minnesota Vikings being the number 2 seed right now. And the Eagles, who have beaten the Vikings, and we don't know. I mean, Eagles are a really nice football team. We don't know how good they are.
No, we know they're good. They're deep. They are. We just don't know their ceiling.
Because they've not really been tested. Now, if we think more of the Vikings today than we did yesterday morning, then maybe we even think more of the Eagles because they took care of the Vikings without any problems.
They did, but it was what, week 2?
Right.
Right. And listen, don't blame the Eagles for who they've had to play. It's the NFL. The schedule is what it is, and all of a sudden you look. It's quite frankly, it's like being a college team, and the schedule looked good at the beginning of the year, and the conference that you play in just went to blank, and all of a sudden people are criticizing you for your schedule. But the Eagles are undefeated, and they got 5 layups in theory coming up here. I don't think they're favored by less than 7 or 8 in their next 5-6 games
until we get to Christmas Eve when they play the Cowboys, right?
Correct. And it's not their fault. It's not their fault. I mean, it's the NFL, for goodness sakes. But this is why some people, Mark, are picking on the Eagles. They've beaten Detroit. And besides beating the Vikings week 2, they've beaten Washington, Jacksonville, Arizona. They did beat the Cowboys with Cooper Rush, though. People are kind of putting an asterisk next to that, not giving them really the credit for that. They beat Pittsburgh. They beat Houston. I got to admit, not a lot of good teams here.
No.
I mean, in fact,
actually a lot of bad teams, David.
Only two teams above 500 so far. Minnesota and Dallas. Played them both at home, by the way. So now here they are. Commanders. They go to the Colts next week. They host Green Bay. Sunday night is the scheduled game at the end of this month. Then they host Tennessee. Then they go to the Giants. They'll cap off a 3-game road trip on Christmas Eve in Dallas. So, they've got some challenges coming. The Colts beat Kansas City and Indianapolis, okay? I mean, they did. So we can't just say that's a gimme game. I know they're 4-5-1, but they did beat the Chiefs in Indianapolis, okay? It's Green Bay, after all, and the Packers are desperate when they come to Philadelphia. They need it more than the Eagles will. And we've seen how tough a game is with the Tennessee Titans. I mean, that's an uncomfortable Sunday, win or lose. That's not a fun day at the office. And then they go to Dallas on Christmas Eve. So they're going to play a few people here. Certainly, Mark, the next 6 is trickier than most of the first 8, correct?
Oh, absolutely. As you mentioned, I mean, Tennessee's going to be a tricky game because they're a really physical team and they're tough out. Green Bay is playing desperate football for the rest of the year. Green Bay's essentially going to be in playoff mode almost the rest of the damn year if they're going to try to get into this thing.
Now, I think Philadelphia's roster is clearly better than the Giants, but they do go to the Giants in early December. The Giants are what, 7-2? I mean, I guess at some point I'm going to have to give them credit. I feel like Ron Burgundy reading the prompter.
7-2.
But Eagles 11-point favorites tonight against Washington. Over-unders 43.5. Vegas is saying 27-16 is the game we're going to get tonight if you're interested. No Manning cast.
Are you giving the Vikings credit for yesterday's win?
Absolutely.
Or are you dismissing it because the Bills blew the game?
Totally giving them credit. Josh Allen played. They were 3 scores down in the second half in Buffalo. Yeah, Buffalo gave the game away at the end, but Minnesota had to put them in a position to give the game away. And when it was 27-10, nobody thought the Vikings were going to put Buffalo in a position where they could give the game away. And those that are saying he should have taken a safety, that's absurd. It's a snap from center. All right, Josh Allen screwed up. It happens, but he screwed the game up. He did. It's a snap from center. He should not have fumbled it. Now, it's one thing, receive it, get tackled for a loss and give up a safety. That's one thing. But come on. How many fumbled snaps from center? And I know most all snaps come from shotgun nowadays. And, Mark, I do believe that played a role in it. How many times is Josh Allen under center in a game anymore?
Hardly ever.
Yeah.
I mean, less than 10.
And
Less
that
than
is
20 for sure. I mean, out of the
right.
60 snaps that they have in a game, it's less than a third of the snaps.
And it'll be interesting going forward if the Bills are in a situation like that again. Do they put him in the shotgun and maybe not even run the ball on first down and maybe do play action and throw something quick to the side to Diggs or something like that?
What world are we living in where we can't take – we're actually thinking at your own goal line, we got to go into the gun?
Well, Mark, how many times have we heard Pat Kerwin at the Senior Bowl and have the coaches say – I think it was Ken Wisenhunt a couple years ago who turned to Pat and said, Pat, we had to teach him how to huddle. I had to spend 20 minutes this week showing them how to huddle. I mean, it's different now. It just is. But no, they should not have taken. Remember, Vikings had a timeout left.
Had a timeout, and there's still a decent amount of time left that they could have lost the game in regulation that way. Now, now at 27-17,
right?
Should they have kicked the field goal?
Yes. Yes. But also, Bills fans, remember, you caught a break. Vikings kicker missed an extra point. It should have been a 3-point game late. Said it was a 4-point game. Of course, the funny thing is that missed extra point actually lead to the win. Because would the Vikings have gone for it at the end there? Or do they settle for the field goal and the tie? And then are you snapping the ball from the 6-inch line? I mean, it's funny how these things all, work out. We'll never know. My guess is the Vikings would have gone for the win. It's what we talked about, Mark. Come on. You say to the head coach beforehand, I'll give you one play from the foot line to win or lose the game. He's like, I got Dalvin Cook, right? Let's go.
And the Cowboys had never lost when taking
Ever.
a 14-point lead into the fourth quarter.
Listen, it's no big deal or anything. They've only been playing for over 60 years. That's all.
And they'd had big leads a few times.
Like what, 195?
Like that.
Right. 195-0 with a 2-touchdown lead in the fourth quarter. Well, got to lose sometime, right?
And they give the Packers hope.
Yeah.
Because the Packers' season was finished.
Oh, yeah. They lose that game 3-7. They're done. They're done.
I was watching with a Packers fan. I said to him, and he did not like it. I said, because he's sitting there, hey, to quit picking on my team. I looked at him at 28-14 and said, you could finish in last in the division.
By the way, how did they win that game? Oh, they kept running the ball down 14. Really? So they decided running. One thing we've seen here recently, what did Green Bay do in the second half? They're getting blown out in Buffalo. Decided we're going to load up and power run the ball. What did they get away from in the loss at Detroit? Running the ball. With their season on the line playing Dallas, what did Green Bay resort to? Running the ball. Even when trailing, running the ball. And
that's what's considered a good running defense too, David.
Yeah.
But as you pointed out forever, what happens in the second half when you get to that 50 play mark and in the fourth quarter? All of a sudden, defenses are worn down.
Out. They're absolutely worn out. You can take a look at it. There's two reasons why I believe there's all this scoring in the fourth quarter. One, the defenses have shown the offenses in the first three quarters every look they have. They got nothing. There's nothing they can show those quarterbacks and those offensive coordinators in the last 15, 20 minutes of the game that they haven't already seen. And secondly, you get a defense to about snap 50, and then after that, there's no gas in that tank, baby. You know how when you're driving down the road and it looks like you got a decent amount of gas, and then all of a sudden the miles, they say, oh, you got 43 miles left. And you go a mile down the road and you look and it says you got 39. You're like, I didn't just go 4 miles. I went a mile. You go another mile. It says you got 34 miles left in your tank. It's like, I've gone 2 miles. How did I lose 9 miles? That, to me, is a defense once it gets to 50 snaps.
And they're running the old Google Maps, and it says it's going to take you 14 minutes, and you know it's only going to take you 11 because they don't know how fast you drive. That's the offense on the other side. I'm going to make every light right now.
Right. 14 minutes. Take me 14 minutes if I get pulled over by the cops. What are you kidding?
So, impressive wins by the NFC North. One team saves perhaps their season. Another one with a big win, now challenging the Eagles maybe for that 1 seed if the Eagles can slip up a couple of times.
And just remember, the Eagles own the Saints' first-round pick. And the Saints lost again yesterday to fall to 3-7. So not only are the Eagles unbeaten and they have a chance to win the Super Bowl, they also have a chance to pick in the top 5 of the draft.
And a really deep roster can just get deeper and deeper with 2 more first-round picks because they know who their quarterback is.
Right. On the cheap, too. Huh. Funny how that works. Might be the only fan base Mark happier than the Dolphin fan base right now is in Philadelphia.
Think you've got that right. Miller and Moulton drinking Coca-Cola out of a minibar right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins
$6
watch
a
party
pop.
every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Uh-oh. You there, David? You froze. Oh, there you are. You froze there for a moment.
Hello?
Yeah, you're there. Can you hear me? Apparently not. Can you hear me, David? Nope.
Are you there?
I am, and you can't hear me.
Okay. That was weird. So
Can you hear me now?
I heard you before.
Okay, well, you said hello, and I'm like, hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? And you didn't respond. That's why I was...
Sorry. So I found the menu.
Oh, good. Perfect. Perfect.
So the cookies I had last night were $15.
$6 Coke?
Yeah.
I had it.
$6. The jar of cashews I had this morning for breakfast, 12. They have bags of beef jerky, $12 a bag. I will say a shot or so of Woodford Reserve is 14. Bottle of Chardonnay is 50. Good thing I'm not a wine guy. The pale ale and the IPA is 8, Mark. So there you have it. There is chocolate, Klecko. Chocolate pretzels are 10. There is a really bad organic coconut and something granola bar. It's $8. Oh, the bag of potato chips I had last night, the little, $6. So I ate $21 last night with the little bag of potato chips and cookies.
Solid Oak Tree. I like the name.
Where are you listening from, Solid Oak Tree?
No, this is the it's not the Airport Marriott. He's at the Four Seasons in Philly. This is the high rent district.
Yeah, this is where apparently, because Fox stays here when they come to town too. So,
right on, Solid Oak Tree. Thanks for listening in Lake City. Glad you picked up on the show.
Man, that's a great signal that station has. I listened to that station for an hour last Tuesday, driving on I-10. I'm curious how far south it goes. I'm curious how close do we get to Gainesville?
Gotcha.
Mark, if I wasn't driving for 7+ hours on last Tuesday, I actually, when I got to where I-10 and I-75 met, I actually thought about going down I-75 south to see how far the signal went.
I'm not surprised. The Bucks had like a 13-play drive, a 13-play drive, a 9-play drive, an 11-play drive. I mean, they just...
Yeah. What'd they rush for, over 200?
Right at, if not a little more. Because Lenny had yards too.
15 seconds.
Before he re-injured his hip.
Well, you see how he almost didn't get to play. The visa issues. He got there like 4 hours before the game.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$21 past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Talking a lot about the Dolphins this morning. We're all excited. They're 7-3. They've won 4 in a row. They're in first place in the division in mid-November. They haven't had a record this good at this time of the year since 2001. They've got Houston at home in 6 days. I mean, come on now, right? They're going to be 8-3. 8-3. But how excited should we be about what Tampa Bay did yesterday? Seattle had won 4 in a row. Seattle was not giving up 200 yards rushing to a lot of teams.
Seattle thought they had a little something for Tampa, particularly defensively on their defensive line. Thought they were going to be able to push Tampa around a little bit, and the Tampa offensive line was terrific.
Yeah.
They did it with a lot of tight ends. They were running 2 tight end sets, 3 tight end sets, but they went on some drives yesterday, David. They're 13-play drives, 14-play drives, 11-play drives. I mean, they methodically took it to Seattle yesterday.
Tampa Bay ran 74 plays. In an NFL game, that's a lot of plays. Teams average around 63, 64 a game. And they held Seattle because they held onto the ball for so long with 9, 10, 11, 13 play drives. Seattle ran 50 plays in the game. We're giving Tampa Bay a little too much credit. They ran for $160 officially. But also, Mark, they threw the ball only 40% of the time.
44 running plays
to 30 pass plays.
And all of a sudden, with play action, Brady can work through his reads and get to the third option sometimes. Because they've not been able to do a whole lot of that. The pass rush has been all over Brady, and he's not able to really make too many reads. It's get it, throw it, and make sure you don't get hit.
10 of 15 on third down, no sacks. 26 first downs. I know they only scored 21 points. That was a good day at the office. That was a really good day at the office. And remember, Mark, and I'm not saying this is what they're going to do, but I'm just saying it's November. This is where teams begin to separate. This is where teams begin to find themselves. Remember 2 years ago, the Bucs were 7-5. And they were actually losing in the second quarter of their 13th game to Minnesota. And then they began to find themselves.
The other thing they found in that game, David, they got back to being able to stop the run. Wasn't just running the football because Seattle wanted to run it. Walker ended up only running the ball 10 times for 17 yards. There was nowhere for him to go early in that game, and it forced Geno to have to throw it.
39 yards rushing for the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, let's be honest. If we had told you at 9 o'clock yesterday morning, one team was going to run for $161 and the other was going to run for 39, we all would have put our money on it being flipped. All of us. Every single one of us, including the biggest Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan alive, based on what had already happened this year and how the teams have been built, etc. Tampa Bay gets a 100-yard rusher from their backup tailback,
who was forced to start because Lenny had visa issues and couldn't get there on time. How about that?
How about that throw?
How about that play call?
Yeah, that's when you get a little bored. I think. I think he's like, things are going too well.
So we're going to throw to Brady.
Well, I will say
it was a great slide tackle.
Also, they had run a play earlier in the game, and Brady was wide open. I heard the Westwood One broadcast because my plane landed and I was driving and I was listening to Mike Mayock. And Mayock said everybody's going to get over Leftwich for the call, but they lined up in a similar formation earlier in the game and Brady was left uncovered. And at the snap, Brady was not covered. But when they pitched it to Fournette gave the pass away, and the guy who was like 10, 15 yards from Brady raced back and got and covered Brady. So Mayock was trying to say, I know what you're thinking, and it looks awful, but there really was a method to the madness here. It just failed miserably.
Yeah, it's still awful. I don't care. Tom Brady's not a receiver. Not today, not next week, not ever.
It's a hell of a tackle he made there.
In soccer.
He slipped and fell, Mark. What are you going to do? Touched him with his foot. He's down.
He's down.
He's down. But terrific win. Bucks have now won 2 in a row. I mean, go back 8 days. They're losing by 4 to the Rams. There's less than a minute to go. They have no timeouts. They're going to be 3-6. And they're going to be in really big trouble. And if Tampa Bay turns this season around and they win a playoff game or two, we're going to go back to that 40-second drive with no timeouts and, Otten starting and ending the drive. It really could be what this team needed, much like if Green Bay turns it around, Mark.
It's that 4th and 7 call. Hitting the North Dakota kid there.
I mean, we all have it. I mean, we're talking about the Dolphins. This is their best record since 2001 at this point of the season. They're 7-3. The team that won the Super Bowl that year was the New England Patriots. You know what their record was 10 games into that season? The same record Tampa Bay Buccaneers record is now. 5-5.
Huh. Who was their quarterback?
Well, it just happened to be Tom Brady.
Huh. Look at that.
Mm-hmm. Here's the funny thing, though. He was actually chunkier on the 0-1 Patriots than he is on the 20.
He was still drinking beer back then.
Yes, he was.
Swilling beer and eating pizza.
He was dating a model, however. He was with Bridget Moynihan, okay, on the 0-1 Patriots. So, I mean, some things don't change, Mark. Just saying.
He'll have to find a new model. Maybe he's found a new model.
Yeah. And you know what his name is? Rashad White. Here you go, big fella. 22 times. You just keep doing what you're doing. You're the best looking thing I've seen in weeks.
You're so excited. I want to call a play action pass.
Look at this. My 2 best friends, Kate Otten and Rashad White. How are you guys? Why don't you come over the house? Let's swim in the pool. Huh? I love you guys. It's funny how things change. It just doesn't take much sometimes.
Especially in this league. Especially in this league. Like someone said, so is Geno still an MVP candidate? Probably not.
Well, not this week, no.
Now they win 4 more in a row. We could talk about it again, but
right.
Until then, no. It's how quickly it happens in this league. Now we're talking about Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady again. You know why? Because they won.
I will say Geno Smith's pass for that touchdown that got him within a score. Holy mackerel. 4th down pass. Wow.
Miller and Moulton. Talking football on a Monday. What else are we going to do? Bucks and Dolphins, big winners.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Life Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlifetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
The guys have gone through the first 6 weeks in that building. Guys like Gus Bradley, Scotty Montgomery, John Fox. Don't they deserve the opportunity for an owner to hire a coach who's never been an assistant at the college level or the pro level, and to oversee a very much a lot of candidates that are qualified for that job, as we see in Steve Wilkes, an opportunity to build a resume? It's a disgrace to the coaching profession.
No Pat in that speech.
Well, I'm sure they just happen to agree, though,
Yeah.
But yeah, we did hear it on Tuesday or Friday, whichever one.
It was Tuesday. That's when he got mad at me, and I said I'm rooting. When I said I want him to win I want him to lose every game. That's the first thing I'm going to say to him tomorrow. Yeah, Jeff Saturday's 1-0, Pat. Oh.
Bless you.
Excuse me. Ooh.
Feel lighter now?
Allergies are just kicking my ass.
Adam, you got Dennis Allen after going, 8-28 with the Raiders. He gets now a crack with the Saints after paying his dues again for a long time. They're 3-7. Josh McDaniels fired, a year and a half into his tenure in Denver? Puts in 10 plus years being an assistant again. And they're picking second in the draft right now. I mean, it is remarkable, some of the guys who paid their dues to get their second opportunity and how badly they're doing. The two teams that both had winning records last year.
And then you got this guy in Denver who doesn't look like he knows what he's doing.
I really would blank piece of paper and pen it for Sean Payton.
It would be fascinating if he could just take it. And I'm not even joking.
No, that's what I mean. I would just call him up and say, the job's yours if you want it. I would like to keep the current GM and have you try to work with him. You get final say on personnel, but I would like you to try to work with him, blah, blah, blah. But if a year in, you're like, no, I got to have my own guy. Okay, we'll do that.
I don't know.
Well, my money's still in Kingsbury.
I do think Hackett's going to, if he hasn't been fired yet, I think he's going to get the year. I know he's a first-year guy, David, but at some point you can just say you made a mistake.
Well, didn't Denver do that with Steve Wilkes? Or no, that was Arizona.
Yeah.
Arizona did it. Steve Wilkes got a year.
1 minute.
He didn't want to be there anymore. They didn't have a Drew Brees.
Yeah, Peyton walked away. The Saints didn't push him away. Peyton walked away.
"30 seconds."
I'm telling you, the place where I think Peyton wants to go is the LA Chargers. I think he sees Justin Herbert and is like,
Well, and it's hard to judge them right now,
10
too. Both
seconds.
top 2 receivers are out.
4 of their top 5 were out last night.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. So do we all owe Irsay and Saturday an apology? Or, hey, listen, anything can happen in a week. These guys, they're going to go out and they're going to play hard no matter who their coach is, blah, 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 blah. Or do we have to say, he put Matt Ryan back in. They won. It's kind of an indictment of Josh McDaniels and the Raiders.
That's one of the things I was thinking. But I look at, I know it's a disgrace to the coaching profession. I get it. And I get why the Bill Cowhers and the Pat Kerwins are very upset about this. I understand it completely. I think we've all been in a line of work where someone got a promotion that we didn't really agree with, that hadn't been there that long and had the right last name, and all of a sudden, holy cow, look where they are. That's the way things go.
Yeah, sometimes you're born on third base.
But whether or not you can lead men is ultimately the question. We are watching coaches, retread coaches. Josh McDaniel is a great coordinator. There's no doubt that he doesn't understand the offensive game as well as anybody that's ever been around football. Something's amiss with this football team. They're not winning. They had a winning record a year ago. They're disgraceful this year. Everybody thought they got better with personnel, and yet they have 2 wins. Their quarterback's calling out some of the players for not caring about losing. Isn't that a reflection on leadership?
Colts have 7 games left, 5 of them against winning teams. They host the Eagles on Sunday. Then they host the Steelers. Dallas and Minnesota on the road. Host the Chargers. At the Giants. Host the Texans. Point spread says they should go 2-5 the rest of the way. They'll be a slight favorite right now at home against Pittsburgh, and they'll probably be about a 6-point favorite at home against the Texans, maybe 7. Every other game, they'll be a dog in.
So what if somehow out of these final 7, they go 4-3?
Oh, then listen. I think if they go 3-4, that'll be 4-4 under Jeff Saturday after going 3-5-1 under Frank Reich. I think you basically say to all the columnists and all the pundits, when and where do you want to do the apology? By the way, to me, it wasn't the John Foxes of the world and Gus Bradleys who have been head coaches before that Cowher mentioned by name that I was bummed about. I was bummed about Reggie Wayne. As former Colt, better player even than Jeff Saturday, who's in their Ring of Honor, and he's on the staff.
Yeah, current coach.
Right. That was the only guy that I thought, man, if you're Reggie Wayne, this is tough to deal with here. But, Mark, come on. We've all been in sports. Listen, I didn't like the move. I don't think the move's going to be long-term successful. I actually think Saturday's just holding down the job for the rest of the year, and he's going to be with ESPN again next year. There's an interesting theory out there that Irsay trusts Saturday. He brings Saturday in. He'll give him a hands-on perspective about players and things and what have you, and that Irsay is going to make a big play for Jim Harbaugh. Okay. I mean, Harbaugh he nearly went to the Vikings after last year. I mean,
He
he's
would have
not
been to the Vikings if they would have offered him the job.
I mean,
he didn't know he was showing up for an interview. He thought he was going there to sign a piece of paper.
Right. So, I mean, he obviously hasn't scratched the NFL itch completely. And we all know that organization feels fondly about the guy. He took him within one pass of going to the Super Bowl as their quarterback in the mid-90s. But I do think this is interesting. Mark, you've been around sports. We've all been around sports in which certain people we were just around and we thought, that guy would make a good coach. And that person has no interest in coaching. None. I mean, Mark, you know it in hockey. There's people that you're friends with. Hell, one of them might, own a company that you do business with. And when they were around, you thought, wow, if that guy ever wanted to be a coach, people would follow him. He's a leader, men, right there. And this person had no interest in coaching. None. And maybe Jeff Saturday's that guy. Maybe this won't be an unmitigated disaster.
And, he, as was pointed out, he didn't want to get into being the assistant coach because of the lifestyle. Well, there's a difference between being the head coach and getting into the lifestyle and being an assistant coach and getting into the lifestyle.
The other thing, quite frankly, is we may have to have a talk about the lifestyle. I mean, Steve Spurrier did not succeed as an NFL head coach. But let's be honest. Remember that introductory press conference that the HBC had in which he was talking about, these guys, they spend 18, 20 hours a day falling asleep, looking at film. I don't know. I looked at the record. They went 6-10. Seems like a waste of time to me. Okay. And I mean, now, there were those that criticized Steve because they didn't even think he put in 8 hours, and wanted to play golf. But I mean, there's something could probably be said about, maybe the whole, who was it? NFL Network, Joe Thomas. He went on Saturday, I think it was Saturday morning, in which he said he was, by the way, much harsher on this than Cowher was. I mean, Joe Thomas said this is the worst thing he's seen in football. And he told a story about how, I think it was Chizinski, who was coach for a year in Cleveland. And he said, I lived next door to him. Do you know when he saw his kids? He saw them once a week. He saw them on Fridays. He picked them up from school. He went home with them. They had dinner together. Then he went back into the office. This is the only 3-4 hours he saw his kids all week. Unless maybe after the game he drove home, kissed them, put them to bed, and then he went back to the office. And I will say, as he was telling the story, I was thinking to myself, well, that's ridiculous.
Right. You were never any good any of those years.
Well, and Joe Thomas even said, we went 1-31 my last 2 years in the league. But he was just talking about how it's not a job, it's a lifestyle, and this is an insult, it's a disgrace, the whole deal. But there was a part of me that I'm listening to Cowher and I'm listening to Joe Thomas. And while I think this is, far from ideal, and I wasn't in favor of what Irsay did, I do think the whole spending 100 hours a week at the office deal is a joke. I mean, it is. You can't tell me it's productive. Really? How much more productive after 75 are you really being? I mean, seriously. I mean, no offense. We're watching the product. Okay? It's average at best this year. You don't think you could have dinner with your kids?
And look, in the days when they were practicing for 3-4 hours a day and there were no limitations on how much time they could practice, I can see where you would want to be there more. But the players they only can be there so many hours. How many new game plans can you implement during that week?
I mean, Jimbo Fisher's game plan is 4 pages. How's that working? We haven't even talked about that today. They lost to Auburn. I'm happy for Cadillac. Meant a lot to him, you could tell. And I hope that when Lane takes the job that he keeps him. Or whoever's going to get the job. But.
Losing to Auburn this year is a tough one.
Yeah, you think? 3-7, Texas A&M. Preseason, what, 5, 6?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure. Oh, them in Michigan. What was Michigan State? Like preseason
12,
11?
13, somewhere
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, there you go. Just keep
Well,
that in
at least
mind.
they
When
still have a shot to be bowl eligible.
I know. And Notre Dame's turned it around.
Right.
And quick sidebar, I will say this. If USC runs the table, they're in the playoff. I don't care. Don't care. I don't want to hear about Tennessee and the loser of Ohio State, Michigan. I don't want to hear it. All right. USC's got one loss on a 2-point conversion on the last play of the game at Utah. Their final 3 games are UCLA, Notre Dame, and the Pac-12 championship game. Okay. They're named USC. They go 12-1. They're in. Period.
We'll see. But I think you're
Okay.
right. I
All
think
right.
you're right. I wouldn't bet against you on that. Even if Clemson were to run the table as well and TCU loses.
I think it would get really interesting if LSU wins out and USC wins out and TCU wins out. All right. We're going to have to leave either 12-1 USC or 11-2 SEC champ LSU out. I mean, it could still get absolutely comical here. This stuff never happens, but what's still on the table is fascinating. And by the way, USC is not going to win out. So we're not going to have to worry about that.
Does Notre Dame get him? Helping
Hell,
Clemson's cause even more?
Hell, I think UCLA may get him this weekend.
After that loss yesterday, or Saturday, rather. Whew.
I know.
Arizona.
Ooh. Damn. By the way, did you see how Oregon lost? I'm guessing most people didn't because it was about 1 a.m. So they're tied with Washington. And they have the ball. And there's under 2 minutes to go. And in 3 plays, they get 9 yards. And so they've got 4th and a short 1 on like their own 29-yard line. And they go for it. And obviously they got stopped and Washington gained a few yards and kicked a field goal at the gun. And there you go. I mean, it's only your season. I mean, literally, when you're lining up for that 4th and whatever, I mean, only your season is on the line. You want to play the risk-reward game.
But the good news is Oregon's 8-2. Washington is 8-2. Washington just beat Oregon. Oregon's ranked 13th in the coaches poll, and Washington's ranked 15th.
There you go. They say the media sucks. You guys aren't any better. Trust us. We see your voting every week.
Don't worry, the media's got Oregon at 12 and Washington at 15.
Like I said, we suck.
Unbelievable. Thank goodness we have these polls because they make so much sense. Let's have 2 teams play one another, and then one team beats the other team. They have the exact same record, and let's rank the team who lost ahead of them because, well, at the end of the day, we just think they're better. Where's my simulator?
I think this 4-team playoff's intriguing right now with the possibilities, but also if we played this thing out, 12-teamer, you could get like USC hosting Alabama right now in a first-round game. That interest anybody? Tennessee could be hosting UCF. How ironic would that be? Anybody got any interest in that game?
All of these conference championships that are going on right now, North Carolina and Clemson, no matter how this comes out, it would be for a spot in the playoff. I can't wait.
I'm with you. I think it'll work. There's no doubt that like Georgia, Tennessee, and to some degree will next week's Ohio State, Michigan game, could it have a little less meaning in a 12-teamer versus our system now with them both likely to be 11-0 when they play? Okay, a smidge. But then again, first round bye versus home playoff game, there's still stuff on the line here.
But you're right, because who would be hosting and who would be traveling to these games is going to be the loser of Michigan and Ohio State would be hosting some sort of 5-12, 6-11 game.
Absolutely. Which, by the way, does that then prove that the loser should not make the 14 playoff? No? You see what I did there?
I see exactly what you did.
Okay.
Then how does Tennessee make a 14 playoff?
Well, who said they are? I've got them hosting UCF in a 5-12 matchup.
But
that'll be the other interesting thing. Unlike the NFL, in which they play it out and we know because of the rules and the tiebreakers who the seeds are, this committee is going to sit down and tell us who the seeds are.
And tell us who's in.
Yeah.
There's going to be some decisions between 11, 12, 13, and 14.
So first they're going to tell us who gets the buys versus who has to actually play in the first round. But then, right, the back end of it, who's in, who's not.
And I mean, when you just start looking at 11 through 14 right now, there's not much difference between any of these teams, between a Penn State and a UCLA.
And an Ole Miss. Any of them in. Are they all out? It'll be sexy, dare I say. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Don't know when it was, but they made the flip. I just heard Christmas music coming out of the Sunny studio.
And it wasn't that way Friday, was it?
No.
I hate to say it, but my apartment is already decorated.
Before Thanksgiving?
I know.
Who did it?
My roommate's girlfriend.
Wow.
She goes, "Can I decorate your place?" And I'm like, who am I to say no?
Wow.
Of course you can.
So your
Who are
roommate
you to
has a
say-
girlfriend.
Who are you to say no? You live there.
Well, I like her. We're friends. And she went ham and I spent $0. So I was like, hey, you want to make my place look cool? Go ahead.
Does it look cool or did you decorate it for Christmas?
No, it's cool. And yes, my roommate has a girlfriend. And I am happy.
Do you enjoy being alone is what you're saying?
Who said I was alone?
He worked all day yesterday.
I got people.
Of course you do. Someone's got to like that mustache.
I mean, curls for the girls, you know?
Is that the motto now?
Apparently. I was told that 2 weeks ago.
By who?
A girl.
Is she one of your people?
Maybe.
There's no reason to be coy with me. You know, I'm not trying to date any of them.
Yes, it was.
We had a little bobcat in our neighborhood.
Whoa. Hopefully not from Charlotte. eHarmony gift card for Christmas, Adam. Oh my god.
Pretty funny, Adam.
Yeah.
That is pretty funny.
And I don't need no damn dating website, dating database.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Turns out there's this thing called going out.
Funny how that works.
Yeah, right? Ten seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
The bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this Monday after a tremendous football weekend, a great NFL Sunday, and a pretty darn solid college Saturday, thank you very much, where the big boy schools in state were all winners. The Big Four, if you will. And South Florida even gave SMU a game. Just not a good enough game, getting 17.5.
A really good game, but just not
Just
good
not
enough,
quite
huh?
Good enough. Nope. Went for two at the end instead of kicking the extra point.
They were down what?
Well, they were down 24. They scored with, a minute 40 to go, and so they're down 18. And the interim coach thinks that they're going to convert 3 2-point conversions, recover 2 onside kicks, and score 2 more touchdowns. So he went for 2. Instead of somebody upstairs saying, listen, the line's 17.5, and if you want any chance to keep this job, you need to cover for the alumni. We have 37 of them. Okay, but because of that, we actually have to take care of them. So kick the extra point, lose by 17, at least we'll cover. No, went for 2. Yeah. Anyway.
I'm a little worried about you, David. I think if you stay in Philly too long, you could lose money on this trip just with the minibar.
Okay. So I don't know how I'm in a hotel room that, just gives me the shakes. I mean, it's a 5-star hotel and but I will say they didn't have enough water for this camel. So that caused a problem. So I had to order some water. And once you're calling to order something, then you start thinking about ordering food and the whole deal. But I didn't order any food. I just ordered more water. So I've been just sitting here snacking and drinking since last night through this morning. Now, no alcohol. But every soda, 8 ounces in a glass, every soda and or water, okay, this Aqua Panna natural spring water, 8.5 fluid ounces, also in a glass bottle. It's lovely. $6
for 8 ounces of water.
8.5. Right. So
nothing wrong with the tap in there, is there?
No, it works fine. No,
I'd just be refilling those bottles in the sink there, David.
Trust me, Mark. That's what I'll be doing for tomorrow's show. Because I'm looking at the trash can and all the bottles that are in it, and I'm like, I'll be damned, there's about $50 in that trash can.
Well, I wondered, before the show started, David and I are talking to one another here, and obviously we can see one another. That's the whole point of this Twitch thing. And I see David sipping on a bottled Coca-Cola. And there's nothing like a soda pop out of a glass bottle. It tastes better. It just does. Now, if you can get a Mexican Coca-Cola, that's a whole different story. That even raises it up another notch.
Right. That'll take my sugar into the 300s.
Right. But I just said to him, how much is the minibar costing you? And at that point, he didn't know.
Right. I said, I don't know. So during one of the commercial breaks, I went looking for the old menu / price list, and I got it. So apparently the jar of cashews that I had for breakfast, it's small, jar.
Another nice glass jar, though. I mean, they are very nice.
Yes, 4 ounces. 4 ounces apparently of cashews. Yeah, $12. I had a small bag of cookies. I mean, to me, they were just cookies. They look like vanilla wafers. Apparently, they were Butterkins cookies.
Butterkins?
Butterkins.
Ooh. Sounds fancy.
It does sound fancy. It better be, because my snack last night was $15. The cookies were $15. The very, very small bag of potato chips was $6. I will say they do have bags of beef jerky here. 2 of them. Each bag's $12.
Do they charge you to ride the elevator at that hotel?
No, but you need one of your, key cards because, you just can't hit the button. Yeah, actually you have to be somebody who's here. And so you hit, so it'll go to your floor. I mean, Mark,
in retrospect, should you have ordered a pizza last night?
I should have stayed at my mom's. That's what I should have done. I flew to Philly. I drove to see my mom. I was there 6 hours. I should have stayed in Jersey. I should have just drove down this afternoon.
Diner would been good for you.
No doubt. I could have bought my mother dinner last night, breakfast this morning, and still saved money.
Right. And instead, you had 2 things of cashews, some cookies, and a couple of Cokes.
Right. I've had 2 Diet Cokes. All right. I've had 4 waters. I've had a thing of cashews and some cookies. I think I'm out $100. So, yeah. So anyway, that's how my trip's going. In Philly for Monday Night Football, Washington and Philadelphia. Commanders really needing a win. And you think about they had won 3 in a row and they had Minnesota beat last week and gave it away. Think about the wins the Vikings have pulled out in the last couple of weeks. On the road, both of them. And now we got a new Kirk Cousins dance. I mean, his teammates were jumping in, yesterday doing their impressions. This just in, they dance a little better than him.
They do.
All right. But
the fact that they're imitating means that they liked it.
Exactly. So they got a little something going on with a first-year head coach, and good for them. First-year GM, first-year head coach. You know what? Great. Fantastic. You need one of those success stories, Mark, because you know what that leads to? 8 more coaches and GMs getting fired in 2 months. You just need that one success story. Every owner going, how come I can't find what the Vikings have? Got a new GM and a new coach, and hell, they won 13 games. You're fired. You're fired. I have no idea who I am there.
I don't I was wondering why all rich owners apparently have a Southern accent when they're firing people.
I don't know. Am I Mattress Mac there? Am I Boss Hog? I don't know what that was.
Where is your wheelbarrow for all the cash that Mattress Mac needed to?
God, that's just. How big do you want the wheelbarrow? I want it to be able to hold at least 10 million. Damn. Seems like a big wheelbarrow.
And I love how, because it's his money, they really had to let the old man carry his own money in his own wheelbarrow. He's like struggling. I'm like, get this man some help.
They offered to help him take the money to the private plane. He said, hell no, I'm going to wheel it myself.
Wouldn't you?
Where the hell's this voice coming from?
I don't know.
I feel like I'm Brian Kelly and I just landed in Louisiana. Something's happened to me here. And by the way, I beat Alabama. I can talk any damn way I want.
We're going to Atlanta. You know, he can talk any way he wants. He couldn't coach. They lost to Florida State, and he couldn't get rid of this guy fast enough. They're going to Atlanta this year. Just wanted to let you know. Still with the shot at the college football playoff. Still exists.
All those years I spent at Notre Dame, people told me how hard this was. This ain't so hard. Hell, I don't even have my players yet.
But apparently he still has that accent.
But you know what? Ed left me a few good ones still. I'm able to make a little jambalaya out of what we had left laying around.
Can't coach another one. He can't coach a lick.
Right. Listen, just because the guy's a little grumpy and a little surly doesn't mean he can't coach. Okay, there's a difference between being unlikable and not a good coach. You can be a guy that you don't want to have a beer with, and you can still acknowledge he's a really good coach. And this just in, what was he hired to do? Have a beer with you or lead your team to wins? I will say this, Mark. Every time I watch Brian Kelly, and I've thought this for years, I thought between the Bears and the Lions, they both missed the opportunity. I thought he would have been a really good NFL head coach because he's no nonsense. He's not about the relationships. This is just football. It's about winning and losing. And I think Brian Kelly in the Midwest would have been a good head coach.
You'd said that before.
Yep.
When the Lions were going through this last run.
Totally.
And hired Dan Campbell, that you wanted them to hire Brian Kelly. And I don't think you were wrong then. I don't think you're wrong now.
And I know the Lions have won 2 in a row, but there are a lot of Lions fans going, wow, Brian Kelly, is it too late to call him? Is he still renting or has he moved into a house yet down there? I mean, we can get him.
Are the Packers the only team below 500 that you think has a shot at the playoffs right now?
In the NFC or in period?
Period.
I don't think the Colts at 4-5-1 do because I think their remaining schedule is too hard.
Right, and they're looking to try to catch Tennessee in the division, which they've already lost both games to.
And in terms of chasing down a wild card, I mean, I will say right now they're just a game and a half out of the final playoff spot. But I expect between New England, the Chargers, and the Bengals, I expect one of them to get to 10, which is going 5-3 the rest of the way. And I think that the math just doesn't add up for the Colts to get to 10. You know how the Steelers got in last year because the tie worked to their advantage? You know, the 9-7-1 got them in ahead of the 9-8s. Well, think about it. You have to be 10-6-1 to get ahead of a 10-7. That means you can only afford to lose one more game if you're the Colts. So I don't think it adds up for the Colts.
And I mean, Atlanta, Arizona.
Well, Arizona was the team that intrigued me, but I don't like their remaining schedule. And I also don't like the makeup of the team. And now, the tight end just got hurt and he's going to miss most of the rest of the year. I think Arizona was just healthier than the team they played yesterday. By the way, Kupp re-injured his ankle. If I were the Rams, I would shut that down. Come on, we're 3-6. This ain't happening. Okay, anybody significant's got an injury, I'd park them on the bench, honestly.
What about Washington if they win tonight? And I know it's a huge underdog. They're an 11-point dog in this game, but they're 4-5. They get to 5-5, because I think the Packers are the only team below 500 that has any shot of making the postseason.
Well, I would say yes, Mark. And I'll even go this far. I actually think Washington's still in it with a loss to be in the group at 4-6, and here's why. Texans, Falcons, Giants in back-to-back games with a bye week in between, and the Browns. Those games are what's still on Washington's schedule. Now, they still have to go to San Francisco, and they got to host the Cowboys. But also, they could be in a position the final week of the year, the Cowboys have nothing to play for. They've clinched a wild card, and they got to play the next week in the playoffs, and they ain't playing their guys. And Washington could be playing at 8-8 to try to get in. But just think about this for Washington very quickly. Okay, after tonight, say they lose, but they got Texans and the Falcons. Okay, get to 6-6, and then they have back-to-back games with the Giants with a bye week in between. So, Mark, I think you touched on something. Believe it or not, the team with the losing record who still has a chance is Washington.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I'd like to introduce you to our premium ginger ale. $6. It's good though. By the way, 6.8 ounces is the ginger ale. Doesn't it? I don't even get 8. Don't even get 8.
Jimmy Butler is already saying to change the Heat Arena's name to Big Face Coffee Arena. Big Face Coffee is his coffee brand.
I didn't realize Jimmy Butler had a coffee.
Really? Yeah.
Fully pay. Do you know how much shit I have to keep track of?
That's a good point.
No.
Yeah. Bring it back to AAA. That's all I got to say.
That won't happen.
I know it won't.
That industry has no money to be buying naming rights.
American Airlines?
I'll tell you what. If so, I'm going to have to start charging for bags again. even those with status won't get the free bags anymore.
American Airlines is really that much in the shitter right now?
Well, the airline industry in general, they're not doing any sponsorship the way they would. Do you see airline commercials the way you once did?
No. Southwest. I used to see those all the time. Those Southwest commercials,
Right.
the Delta commercials. Why not? Is it because of COVID?
That started it. They lost hundreds of millions during COVID.
Yeah.
Now, I will say the arena in Dallas, is that still American Airlines where the Mavs play?
Correct. American Airlines Center.
Gotcha.
And the Heat are still sponsored by American Airlines, but they just no longer have the naming rights to the building.
Yeah, because that costs a lot.
Mm-hmm. I can't believe the Colts beat the Raiders.
Did you see what somebody did? They put Publix on the arena, and he said, "Come on, let's make it happen."
That would be awesome. The pub tub. Does that work? Does that check out? Because a bowl is like a tub, kind of.
Sure.
The pub tub.
10 items or less arena.
Had to go to the log. I had 13. Had to get in the main line the other day.
I had 11. I had to do it the other day. Had 11. Thought very seriously about putting one back.
I love Publix.
So they checked me out of my room in Memphis on Saturday while I drove to Oxford and was going to work the game. I got an email thanking me for my stay. Mm-hmm. They removed my stuff from the room and everything.
Really?
Yeah. Which shocked me because if you walk in the room, had my stuff everywhere, the shaving kit, the whole deal. Yeah. Had the privacy thing on the outside of the door. Yeah, they screwed up.
They touched all your things?
Grabbed it all, removed it all.
What the hell?
Yeah.
They apologize?
Yeah, I wasn't in the mood for it, and it took them like 4 hours.
Here we go.
But yeah, it was fun.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes after the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Final thoughts, all coming up in roughly 20 minutes' time. Basking in the glow of the Dolphins and Bucks both winning, both being in first. I mean, none of us saw that coming in the AFC East. This sucker was over. Road to the AFC playoffs is going through Orchard Park. Bills are going to the Super Bowl for the first time in 30 years. This sucker's over. Done. Maybe not.
Now, the Bills, I will say, the rest of the way, doesn't look too difficult for Buffalo. They get the Browns this week.
Right.
They're at Detroit
on
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, well, short week on the road. Lions can score points.
And then we'll find out in December because it's at the Patriots, home for the Jets, home for the Dolphins. Before they finish with a couple of road games at Chicago, at Cincinnati, and they finish with the Patriots at home.
Patriots and Jets this weekend playing each other, both coming off a bye. All 4 AFC East teams would make the playoffs if the playoffs started this weekend. Patriots at 5-4 win the 3-way tiebreaker with the Chargers and Bengals. They'd be in. So you got 9 teams with a winning record in the AFC. It looks as if the 7 playoff spots will come from amongst those 9 teams. Difficult to see any of the other 7 really being able to make a run. Steelers are a mess this year. Browns are a mess this year. Raiders are a mess. Broncos are a mess. Jags a year away.
I hope for the Jags that they're a year away from playing good football.
I think Jacksonville's Florida State. I really do. Florida State didn't make a bowl last year, but they started 0-4. And by the end of the season, I thought anyway, and I took a lot of grief for it, but I thought, this looks like it's coming together. This might not be so bad. And I think that's going to be the Jags, Mark, when the seas's over.
Well, the good news for them, they're in a division that's there for the taking, if you will.
Sure. Now in theory, the Texans are going to be in position to grab Bryce Young, CJ Stroud. I mean, right now, Houston's on the clock. They have the first pick, and we don't think they're going to add a lot of W's to the win total before the season's over. Not to get too far over our skis here because we got a lot of time to talk about this, but, right now the Raiders would be picking second. I mean, if you're the Raiders, aren't you picking a quarterback and trading Carr?
Or are you trading the pick and keeping Carr? But I would think you'd be going after whoever Houston doesn't take.
Yeah.
I think that's why Derek Carr was partially fighting back tears in the presser because he's playing as hard as he can and they're not good enough. And he's not good enough. So he's going to get a new destination to try to do this next year. I think you're on to something there.
Is Derek Carr becoming Kirk Cousins? Because, the people that have soured on Cousins are never going to give him any credit. That's like, we haven't gotten one apology from all the people who trashed us and trashed Tua for 2 years. There's literally not one person who has sent us a text or in the Twitch chat room that has said, you know what, I was wrong. And I'm not saying that you got to apologize to us because you don't. I mean, we really don't care what you say. We take note of it, but I mean, please, if the things we've been told affected whether or not we did a show, we'd be in a fetal position years ago.
I used to keep the negative emails, and when I was having a bad day, would read them to make myself laugh. People that told me I shouldn't have this job.
True story. That is a true story. Mark was in a bad mood one day and during the commercial breaks when we were doing the show in the studio together in our first act, and he would just say, you having a rough day? And I go, yeah, I'm not having a good day. And so Mark starts reading some of the texts that he's getting about himself and emails. And I go, well, I'm having a better day than that. And then sometimes Mark, when I was writing columns, it would just be somebody just saying, you're an idiot and what have you. Mark would come in on Monday and go, got to admit, I had a rough weekend until I read your comments. Let me tell you, I'm doing a lot better than you. You suck.
Thanks for that Sunday column, David. It really improved my mental state.
I didn't read the comment. I didn't read the column. I just read the comments. And man, you are dumb. You suck. But I'm wondering if Derek Carr is now going to be Kirk Cousins. He sucks. He's not good enough. He's a loser. Can't win anything with him. Well, Kirk Cousins is 33. And Kirk Cousins is what he's always been. He's a pretty good quarterback.
It's a middle third quarterback in that league.
And on his best day, he is scraping the bottom of the top third. He's somewhere around 8, 9, 11. Now, for fantasy purposes, he's been a top 10 quarterback for 8 years. And I am a little surprised, Mark, that people haven't felt better because so many people play fantasy and he's been such a consistent money guy in fantasy. And I figured that maybe the fantasy part of the fan would actually come to the conclusion, Cousins is actually a little better than I think he is. I mean, he's like 8th in fantasy every year.
I think it's the fact that he looks like, he has been so geeky with the "do you like that?" and then the latest dance move that I think there's something about him that's not likable by people. He's just not, and by all accounts, he's a pretty good guy. And
did you see what he just did, by the way? Bought a golf course in a community because he said, well, I heard that some real estate developers were going to come in and we're going to make it housing. And he's like, no, this area doesn't need that. No. And so like his buddies owned the course, but they were selling it. And Cousins just bought it. He goes, I don't know how to run a golf course, but I'm going to keep it a golf course. I just didn't want it to turn into a bunch of condos. It's nice when you have that kind of money.
It is. And he's gotten paid. He got the fully guaranteed contracts, which in that league doesn't happen.
It's also why I think there's some resentment towards him. We've talked about this for years. For whatever reason, fans resent guys making money. Why? They want you to make money. Why can't they make money? But Kirk Cousins overpaid. Man, it ain't your money. What do you care? I mean, you really think Kirk Cousins making a few million too much is what's held the Vikings down all these years? Like it hasn't been the secondary the last 2 years. Really? Like it wasn't the offensive line before that. Kirk Cousins has been what's been holding the Vikings back the last 4 years. There haven't been much bigger deficiencies in that organization and on the field, huh? Kirk Cousins? Okay. All right.
But Derek Carr is now Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, I think so.
And Derek Carr, if on the market, will be starting for someone else next year.
Sure.
Probably an Indianapolis Colt.
That's funny. Well, I mean, they have to continue the string. They've had 7 different opening day quarterbacks the last 7 years. I mean, got to continue the streak.
It was like we had those Dolphin numbers. The last time they were 7-3 was in 2001. They've had 24 different starting quarterbacks since then. 24.
Man, if you're a Dolphin fan today, you're sitting at work with your buddy. You're not getting anything done because your team's 7-3, and you're not interested in working. You're basking in the glow of this 4-game winning streak and looking like Marino and the Tupper and Clayton and the glory days again. And you're just reading off the list of some of those names. Hey, you remember Cleo Lemon? Oh, how about John Beck?
That was that run of second-round picks that Miami had. John Beck.
Remember Damon Heward? I thought he was pretty good. Yeah. It's just they're just sitting back and forth, getting no work done. 2 hours will go by. It's like, hey, let's go eat lunch. Talk about Cleo Lemon some more.
Because we're in first place, and they are using the we as much as is humanly possible. The Bucks and the Dolphins both in first place. Miller and Moulton, the good, the bad, and the ugly on the other side on the Florida Sports Network.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I don't know what was going on. We got Get Up in the background. Rex Ryan was just going nuts. They were all laughing hysterically. He's doing the belt, and he got something right, and it was pretty funny. Sonny, did Maple Hills is no longer a golf course? My course growing up.
Oh, I have to wait 2 weeks to watch the Dolphins play football again? This is outrageous.
Oh, wow.
There's another $12.
You need to find yourself a convenience store between now and tomorrow.
There's one like a block or two away to the left.
Anyone care to guess what USC's original nickname was?
Like the Trojans?
The
Correct.
Bruins. The Bruins.
No. A little closer to home for you, David. They were the Methodists.
That's outstanding.
Played their first football game today in 1888. We'll have that in a moment. But they were the Methodists.
What do you think of the Methodists? Well, I think they're strong up the middle and they play good defense.
That's hey.
Felipe, it was my first dinner with my now wife and her family. Formal dinner in the house, Sunday, the whole deal. And obviously Sunday's a big deal. Father-in-law was a Methodist minister. So it's Methodist minister, minister's wife, minister's daughter, minister's son. We're at the table, and I'm Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're dating for a few months. And so now mother-in-law says, with her head down too, trying to eat, trying to be smooth. So, David, what do you think of the Methodists? And everybody's head now looks up and stares at me. And I make eye contact with no one. And I put my head down and I say, well, they play good defense and they're strong up the middle. And I keep eating.
30 seconds.
and my future father and brother-in-law like high-fived, like, well, we're keeping this guy.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That is such a good line.
That's a good one.
Of course, the woman I'm dating is looking around like, what did he say?
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes until the top of the hour, 17 minutes until we're out of here. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Coming up tomorrow, well, I don't think we're going to have David Sampson. We will have Pat Kerwin. I think David's still traveling back from the F1 race.
He's back in the country. I saw a tweet that said he was hopefully going to get Nothing Personal done and posted here in the next little while. For those of you that are loyal listeners, that should be around shortly. And if you miss any of our show, you can take it in via the podcast. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com or any of the usual places to download the Miller and Moulton podcast form of the show.
You ready?
I am ready.
Well, then let's do this.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Not a lot. I think all good stuff today. Nothing that trivial. 1851 we start. Moby Dick first published.
Huh.
1883, Treasure Island first published. 1888, the USC Trojans play their first football game, but they were not the Trojans in 1888. They were the Methodists.
Well, what did SMU have to say about that?
They weren't playing football in 1888.
Huh.
1908, Einstein presents his quantum theory of light. It was a real doozy.
And the people in the audience are like, whatever, dude.
1957, outside of Binghamton, New York, a little meeting.
Uh-huh.
The Appalachian meeting.
Yep.
Except for it was raided by the law enforcement, and most of the mob figures got arrested that day.
Yep.
1960, Ray Charles's Georgia on My Mind reaches number 1. Very sad day in 1970. The Marshall football team in their DC-9 crashed in West Virginia, killing 75. David, you will remember this in 81. It was their first fight at Caesars. Super welterweight Benitez, Wilfred Benitez, taking down Carlos Santos in a 15-round decision in an epic fight.
Man, the early 80s non-heavyweight fights were unbelievable. I saw a highlight this morning right before the show of Hearns knocking out Duran. First time, it was his 82nd fight. It was the first time he got knocked out. And obviously it's Sugar Ray and you had Hagler and oh man. And then the fighters, and Sugar Ray Leonard had to take the title from Benitez. Hagler had to take the title, from Vito Antuofermo, and, in the lighter weights, you had to go through Danny Little Red Lopez. I mean, man, the non-heavyweight division in the 79 through 83 was amazing.
Also today in 81, Paul Bear Bryant ties Amos Alonzo Stagg with 314 wins. Today in 1988, Murphy Brown premieres on CBS. To tell you how big this guy was, today in 91, Michael Jackson's Black or White music video premieres simultaneously in 27 countries. Was on Fox TV and MTV, as well as BBC's Top of the Pops.
What year was this?
91. 93, Shula becomes the coach with the most wins in the NFL.
I believe right here in Philadelphia. I believe he beat the Eagles. I believe the winning quarterback that day was Doug Peterson.
And it was 4 years ago that Jacob deGrom wins the Cy Young with 10 wins, the fewest ever by a Cy Young winner in a non-strike shortened season.
And that's former New York Met Jacob deGrom.
Those born today that are no longer with us: Monet, big in painting; McLean Stevenson, big on MASH; PJ O'Rourke, big in Rolling Stone magazine.
Was the way they killed off McLean Stevenson like the most shocking exit to a big time series that we had like ever seen on television?
Yes. That's one of the first sitcoms that made people cry.
You know, he was in a contract dispute and he wanted a little more, and so they decided they were moving on from him. And you know, we were all used to somebody like leaves and that you leave it so that they could possibly come back. And you know, obviously it's the Army, you could get reassigned elsewhere and come back. No, man, they killed him in a helicopter crash. It was like, what?
Yep. That's when Radar O'Reilly grew up before our eyes. Those celebrating birthdays today, for the first time ever, I can say this: Charles III is 74. King Chuck. Condoleezza Rice is 68. Jack Sikma and Willie Hernandez are both 67. Kurt Schilling is 56. Dana Stubblefield is 52. And Devontae Smith is 24 years old today.
Huh. Eagles wideouts 24, huh?
Yeah. Don't you have to play the over on a touchdown for him with that?
I was just thinking the same thing. Come on, it's his birthday.
You know you're going to try to get him one.
Right. Absolutely.
Usually those touchdown plays are you're just getting one, right? You know, I mean, usually it's over a half.
And besides, he's going over to AJ going, come on, man, can you let me have one? Do you have to get them all?
Today was the day when. Did I miss anything, David?
Well, just when you were going through names, did you ever see Gallagher, who died over the weekend?
I did not.
All right. He's dead, so I can say this and not feel bad. Had the worst breath of anyone I've ever met in my life.
So Jeff Zito, who used to work in this building, posted something after he passed, because they used to interview all the comedians when they came through. They used to work across the hall, and they always in the mornings would get the comedians on. We sometimes would get them on in the afternoon, that folks that were appearing at Captain Brian's Off the Hook. And he said that Gallagher was not the nicest guy in the world, was very standoffish, but the moment the light came on,
yes,
he turned it on and he said, he goes, it made the interview that much better because the guy was a bit of a jerk, and all of a sudden the light came on and he was on.
Was working at KXJB TV in Fargo, North Dakota, and was the assignment editor at the time, besides doing sports. And we had a tremendous feature reporter who now lives in Sarasota, Bruce Asbury. And so for the noon news, Gallagher was appearing that night. And so he agreed to do the noon interview. And you could tell he got out of bed to do this interview. And, you know, the hair's a mess. He didn't shower at all. He had on a white T-shirt and pants, jeans. And he had a bit of an O'Dare to him. The segment was amazing. Okay. And he didn't smash a pumpkin. Bruce asked him if he'd smash a pumpkin. And instead, okay, Bruce, who had a toupee, he took the toupee off Bruce and he smashed a small piece of fruit on him. It was tremendous.
That's good stuff.
It really was. And for the noon news and market, 129, it was incredible.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
For the good, we go to Philadelphia, where former Marine Len Johnson drives to other veterans' homes in Philly to support them any way he can. He served in Vietnam and since then has done work for veterans. And he was using his own car that had over 300,000 miles on it. That's when things changed, because TrueCar saw what he was doing, gave him a brand new Chevy Traverse in their Driven to Drive initiative, which is designed to honor the sacrifices made by service members and their family, supporting their mobility needs, and he did that. And this man at 74 says, I can keep doing my community service with this donation. Great job by all. For the bad, we go to the friendly skies. United Airlines flight from San Francisco to Chicago, where a flight attendant was sent to the hospital after an altercation with an angry, shouting passenger who was holding a small child while attacking the flight attendant. She was arrested when the plane touched down in Chicago. Finally, the ugly, we go to North Carolina. Clyde Cooper's Barbecue's been around for a while. It's pretty damn good. Debbie Holt's the owner. Lady was very upset coming in because the meat was pink. It wasn't done. She said, look, it's pink. After she explained it turns pink when it smokes, she kept yelling more and more and more. So they gave her a piece of chicken instead. She took the chicken. They told her she could keep the smoked barbecue because there was nothing wrong with it. Well, the lady felt there was something wrong with it because when she left, she called 911 and had police come to the restaurant because she believed the owner was being dismissive of her concerns. Police showed up 10 minutes later. They had no idea why the police was there. The lady had already left the store and gave them a 1-star review on Yelp. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, November the 14th, 2022.
Can I just throw some stuff out at you about tonight? Washington, Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So I think we're all trying to figure out, are we taking the Eagles seriously as, can they win the Super Bowl? We know they're 8-0. We can mock who they've played. And this year, they don't have a number of terrific teams on their schedule. They're going to put up a gaudy record. But ultimately, Mark, who does it come down to? Jalen Hurts. Is Jalen Hurts good enough to take a team to and win a Super Bowl? Well, I'm just going to give you some numbers. First off, he's won 11 straight starts. Last 3 of last year, first 8 of this year. But if that doesn't mean anything to you. Deep balls. He's in the top 5 in the league. Completion percentage. He also has not thrown an interception on a pass of more than 20 yards this year. Is he good enough to win a Super Bowl in the pocket? Right? Ultimately, 3rd and 6. They keep you in the pocket. You got to move the chains. His first 2 years in the league, he completed less than 2/3 of his passes from inside the pocket. This year, he's completing 74%, 10 percentage points better. He's throwing the ball downfield further. He used to throw passes that averaged around 7 yards an attempt. Now he's averaging over 9. In the pocket, his TD to interception ratio his first 2 years in the league was basically 1-to-1, 12 TDs, 10 interceptions. This year, 9 TDs, 2 interceptions.
To your philosophy on this, it does help when you get an A.J. Brown.
It really does.
All these numbers, the longer the passes have been thrown, the deep ball percentage, when you have an A.J. Brown, it does make those plays a lot easier.
And you look at what the Bills did 3 years ago with Josh Allen, where his first 2 years, his completion percentage was in the 50s, and they get him a Stephon Diggs, and his completion percentage goes into the low 70s.
They got Tua, a Waddle, and then they got him a Hill.
Right.
And look what's going on there.
Exactly. Also, his off-target percentage is down about 5%. So 1 out of every 20 throws is better this year than it has been in the past for him. So that's 1 to 2 throws a game that are not as off-target as they were in the past. So also, he held on to the ball the second longest of any quarterback in the league his first 2 years in the league. This year, middle of the pack, between 14 and 16. So now you could say the offensive guys are open fast all day, but whatever it is. I mean, the data, forget the 8-0, forget the 11 straight wins. The data shows you the clear improvement. 10 percentage points better in completing passes. All right. Throwing the ball downfield more. Very effective throwing it more than 20 yards downfield. So just throwing that out there for tonight. Heineke, meanwhile, holds on to the ball, second longest in the league. So can the Commanders' offensive line hold up, Mark, is probably the story in the game.
And you're rotating 8 guys through the defensive front for the Eagles. They have as deep a team as anybody in the league. They're going to get to the quarterback. Really, to me, David, this game's just a question of whether or not they cover. And it's 11. I could see it being 10 at the end of the game. Like, I really and truly could see that 11th point being the difference. 27-17, 24-14, something like that.
And I'm leaning towards a cover because I could see a pick six.
It's usually what it takes these days.
Either Slay or Bradbury. I could see that. Bradbury, by the way, is grading out as the third best corner in the league this year.
The smart play is to take the points, though. We've pointed out when games are above 8 this year, it's overwhelming that the points have been the play. Doesn't mean it will be tonight. Just that's what the trend has been this year. There are other sports going on tonight. The Heat are at home taking on the Suns. The Magic taking on Charlotte in Orlando tonight.
And there's 4 hockey games, none of them involving the locals. And quite frankly, Kings at Flames is probably the best game, but you got to be a diehard fan for that.
Heat and Suns, pretty good NBA game, though.
I agree with that.
And Bucks and Hawks for you NBA diehards. Another pretty good NBA game tonight on the slate.
So there you go. Just wanted to give you some numbers behind the game tonight. Big picture, not so much for tonight's game, but just big picture. Is Jalen Hurts a good enough quarterback for the Eagles to win the Super Bowl with? Don't know, but the numbers clearly say, oh, he's getting a lot better quickly.
And I love when you give us numbers on the Monday night game and a little bit of the research that you're doing to get ready for it. But the research I'm doing, are you having a cheesesteak before or after the nap, David? That's what I really want to know.
I'm going to go eat and then nap. So cheesesteak, then nap.
It's always a better nap with a full belly. It really is.
And I just ate and drank $18 worth of room food since our last commercial break.
It's been about an $80 show for David, and that's just at the minibar. And he doesn't drink. That's the best part.
I really need to win my bets tonight.
Pay for those cashews. Miller and Moulton. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. right here. Where else? The Florida Sports Network. Have a great day.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for